All righty, you are welcome from wherever you are joining me live right now on today's episode of the Fearless Netpreneur Show. Today, we have a most unusual guest in the house. It's been fun bringing you all those that are pure, just business related people, but we've got somebody unusual in the studio with me today. All right, often when you think of a hostage negotiator, you think of a chain smoking, self assured, cunning guy in a rumpled gray suit operating behind a wall of SWAT teams, trying to talk down the bad guys in Afghanistan, threatening to blow up some buildings, or some people in New York threatening to bomb the subway, or maybe some troubled kid holding a gun to the heads of people in a Walmart store because his friends made fun of him or just because he doesn't like immigrants. We all know about other scenarios. We've watched enough shows to see that. But rarely do we ever think of that same person, that same hostage negotiator, also being able to use the same skills to help businesses in hostage situations for their rivals, or helping people who are holding themselves hostage mentally or socially or business wise. Well, today on the Fearless Netpreneur Show, we are going to be meeting a real life war front negotiator who has been there, done that, who also goes into boardrooms to teach entrepreneurs how to deal with business hostage situations and help talk individuals out of the tragic consequences of self-hostage due to emotional stress, mental problems, or self-doubt. So it's going to be an amazing time today. I see you, Professor Chris Imafidon, one of my great friends and mentors in the house on Clubhouse. Right now, we are live on about 5 or 6 different channels. We are live on Clubhouse. We are live on 2 channels on YouTube. We are live on my personal Facebook page. We are live on my business Facebook page. We are live on LinkedIn, and we are live on Twitter. So pick whichever one works for you. The important thing is to get with us today and be part of the amazing experience that we're all going to have today. So who's this guy that I'm about to bring up as a very unusual guest today? You guys know my style. We bring in the guys in business. But this guy is even more important to many of us as far as business is concerned. His name is J. Paul Nadeau. I hope he's going to be telling me if I got that right. Paul is a highly successful life coach, best-selling author, and former police detective. Can you imagine that combination? Hostage negotiator, real one, and international peacekeeper, all combined. With over 30 years of experience in crime, terrorism. Yeah, you had that right. Real-life terrorism and human behavior. Paul's unique approach in applying his experience to negotiating hostile situations in life and to business and everyday interactions has not only helped to save several lives and brought criminals to justice, but has also helped lots of business people and individuals to regain their freedom from self-hostage to live the life that they deserve. Now, this man, Paul Nadeau, as a survivor of physical and emotional abuse by an alcoholic father, he himself experienced firsthand the loss of hope and destructive internal dialogue that can immobilize as effectively as any prison. And he put it in books. As a best-selling author and renowned speaker, Paul inspires thousands with his books and global keynotes. He's a global keynote speaker all over the world. His compassionate guidance has helped countless lives, making him an extraordinary figure, shaping a safer and more connected world. Now, Paul combines his personal experience, stories, and insights on all these fields to share practical tips that anyone can use to overcome the self-sabotaging thoughts and attitudes that prevent them from achieving their dreams. And that is why I brought him here. I'm not a negotiator. I don't hope to deal with any terrorist, but many of us are terrorists to ourselves. And we need the wisdom and the experience of Mr. Paul Nadeau to help us. Welcome with me, guys. Wherever you are, I just want to welcome my special guest today. I ran into this man just a few weeks ago, talking in a room on Clubhouse, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know it was even this deep. I just love the way he was contributing in business. And then as I was researching him, I said that there's a lot more to this man. And I said, I don't know if he's going to tell me yes or no. I don't know him. I'm not a big podcaster yet, but I will ask. All he can tell me is no. And I was surprised when I sent him a back channel that I'd love to have you on my Fearless Netpreneur podcast, that I'm trying to restart it. We don't really have the audience yet. I was expecting to say, okay, call me 1 year from now when you have some audience. He said, come on, let's do it. And I was so thrilled. Thank you so much, Paul, for coming on my show. You want to say hello to my audience?
Oh, yes. And thank you, Dr. Ope. It's so true. We met on Clubhouse and you reached out. And this is something that we all have to remember, the importance of reaching out and asking for things that we would like to have. And far too many people don't do that. I appreciate the wonderful introduction that you gave me. And hello to everyone out there. I hope this podcast spreads across all the channels and reaches a lot of people, because I know that we've got a lot of information that's going to be very valuable in your personal lives and your professional lives.
Awesome. And guys, you know the way we do it on the Fearless Netpreneur show, it's a hot seat, and we are going to put him to the test. But before we do that, guys, I want to introduce you guys to the summit that we have coming up Monday to Wednesday next week. I wish I had known Mr. Paul before I lock this in down. I don't know if I'm still going to try to smuggle him in, if you will agree. We have an AI summit coming up next week, where we have 12 of the most outspoken and practitioners in the business world who are going to be speaking for 3 days. Okay, so you guys want to be part of that, I'm going to show you a short video just to introduce that summit to you. Then after that, we're going to take on Mr. Paul. Here goes. All righty. Welcome again, Paul, to this show. I appreciate you so much for blessing us with your presence today, even though we didn't have the audience yet, but we appreciate you so much. Some people, believe it or not, when I invited them, they said, okay, send me the link to your blog. I want to know how many people you have. And they took me through the rungs and ultimately still said, call me later. So, but you, who are even more accomplished, you chose to just come on faith. Let me just give this guy, let me help him out. I appreciate you so much for that. Okay. And that is the nicest I'm going to be on this show. Now we get into it. Okay. Thank you so much. The first question, and by the way, guys, you might see a little bit of delay in his reaction to my questions because it's a little bit out of sync with our broadcast today. Okay. So I'm just going to go to what I consider very important. Instead of leading up to anything, I'm just going to hit it. Is it possible? Because studying you, because I like to do research on my guests, I saw that you actually, I saw your book. Okay. I saw your books and I'm like, okay, take control of your life. I saw hold hostage to myself. And that's raised something in me. Is it possible for people to hold themselves hostage in business and in life? And how can that happen?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And what a great question. Yeah, the
Go ahead.
idea of yep, the idea of holding ourselves hostage is very simple. Is that if you think of yourself when you're first born, you are an empty vessel. And if we were to imagine a pitcher, right? A pitcher, just a glass pitcher of water, it's empty. So life when we are first born is empty and meaningless. There's nothing there. So people will contribute to that vessel. They will either treat you with respect, your loved ones, your mother, your father. A lot of things go into this picture. And as a result, we start to build our identity based on what's poured into us as young people. So eventually, we start to have these self doubts about who we might be. And that is often associated to some programming that we've experienced as youngsters, as young people. It's been the feeding of our caretakers. It's been perhaps bullies in your life. Perhaps it's been teachers who have spoken to you very harshly, who have told you that you'll never amount to anything. So our programming today can be very affected by what was deposited into our pictures as young people. So this really challenges our core when we start to step out into the world and become the people that we were meant to become. And if you are entertaining a negative narrative, a narrative that is in some way tied to that negativity that was poured into your vessel as a child, that can really prevent you from living and experiencing the wonderful things that you deserve to experience. So when you have this negative narrative that comes into your mind, if you don't police it and extract it immediately, challenge it, dispute it. For example, if I were to tell myself, you're not good enough, you're never going to get this job, or you're not going to get this sale, because nobody's going to buy from you. If I believe that from the things that have been told to me in the past, then I am going to take myself hostage because it is going to prevent me from being courageous. It's going to prevent me from being authentic. It's going to prevent me from just asking and presenting myself as someone who really wants to help you. I'm going to have these hesitations. So I'm taking myself hostage. I am really locking my potential up. And when we lock our potential up and we stay in a place of safety, albeit it's not a good place, it is that place that we remain in. So yes, it is possible for people to hold themselves hostage in business because they may be afraid to propose something. They may be afraid to ask for the deal to be sealed, or they may even hesitate to ask the right questions. What is it that you're afraid of? How can I help you move forward? All these questions. But if you don't have that confidence, if you are locked in a cage of your own making as a result of some of the programming that you received as a child, you are as much a hostage as though somebody had taken you hostage and put you in a cage themselves. So yes, that can happen. I can't hear you.
I muted myself to prevent feedback from you, and I keep forgetting that. I need to keep
All right.
remembering. Yeah, so that's an amazing illustration of how it is possible. Because when I saw that, I'm like, whoa. Because many of us, when we think about hostage situation, we think of the bad guys in Afghanistan. We think of the bad guys in the subway. But sometimes we are the one holding ourselves hostage because of circumstances. But I'm going to press you a little bit on that. You know, in church, when they want people to believe what they are saying, maybe a pastor is talking about something, they talk about come and give testimonies. I want to, where it's possible, obviously you can't disclose names and specificity, but can you give us some examples of where you have witnessed okay, of how people have held themselves hostage in life. You've explained the theory, you've explained the possibilities. But what are some of the examples you have personally encountered in the course of your work, without, of course, mentioning the specific anything that can make us identify the person, so that people can see how this works in practicals?
Yes, I can. And I'm going to start with a true life story. Oh, this is going back several years. When I first joined the police department, I was on the department for about 2 years, and I was a single man unit, which means that I was traveling in a police cruiser by myself and responding to calls, and I was on the night shift. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was a very cold October night or a morning. I had my jacket on, and I had my heater on in my car, and I remember just driving around and waiting for the night to progress so that I could go to bed because it's the graveyard shift, right? So
Okay.
about the graveyard shift they call it. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, there was a 911 call, a call for help. Two ambulance attendants were calling for help. They had just been assaulted by a very violent man, and they were calling for police assistance. I happened to be in the general vicinity, so I responded to the call. I'd had 2 years on, and I pulled up to the area. It was a high-rise, low-income area, lots of tall buildings. And I called my name, or my actual handle was 1712. That was the call handle for my police unit. And I said, 1712 to control, I will take that call. So I pulled in, and I stopped about 30 feet away from the ambulance. I could see it in the distance. And it was stopped, and I could see two ambulance attendants seated outside the ambulance holding their heads. I didn't want to pull up to the ambulance because one never knows what you're going to encounter, especially on a 911 call. You have no idea what you're going into. So I stopped in my car, I got out, and I carefully closed the door so it wouldn't make any noise. And I started to walk up towards the ambulance attendants who had called for help. And from my left, I looked over, and about 30 feet away from me and from them was this hulk of a man, a huge man, about 6'1", 6'2". He was built, lots of muscles, and he had his fists clenched. He was making noise. He was grunting. He was looking up at the sky, and it was like a scene out of a movie, really. And he long, straggly hair. And I just remember he appeared in stress, in a deep amount of stress. When I walked up to the ambulance attendants, I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Well, that's Jimmy Donovan." I can use his name because I use it in many of my keynotes. And they said, "That's Jimmy Donovan." And I said, "Who's Jimmy Donovan?" They said, "You don't know? You must be new." And I said, "Yes, I am." And they said, "Well, he is the most violent criminal that we've ever encountered. He's very angry. He's assaulted us both. He's suffering some kind of a head problem. He's migraine. There's a migraine. There's something going on, but we are not taking him to the hospital. He's all yours. And you'd better get some backup because he's dangerous." And so they jump in their ambulance and they leave. And there I am, 30 feet away from my vehicle, with a very angry man who's almost shouting at the moon. That's the way it was. If you've ever seen the movie The Hulk, Ragnarok, where Thor is standing there with his fists clenched, that was this guy. And I thought to myself, oh, there's one, that it was very cold, right? The only thing that he was wearing was a pair of white underwear. He wasn't wearing anything else, just this white pair of underwear, howling at the moon. And so I decided I was going to walk very quietly back to my car. And I did that. I started to walk, and I thought, okay, what do you do? What do you do? And you get inside your car, you lock the door, and you call for backup because this person is apparently very violent and you are out in the open. Imagine this, Dr. Ope and dear listeners, if he was a bull and he was a bull out there, I was the matador. I was the one wearing the uniform that he didn't like, and he was about to charge. He didn't see me yet. So I made my way to the cruiser, but when I was about 5 feet away from the car, something happened. My radio went off, and it was my dispatcher asking me if everything was okay. And they said 1712 to control, is everything 10-4? And that let out this noise that interrupted him when he was looking up at the moon. He then looked at me and he went into this kind of this position in which I was now his target. And I thought, oh dear, I am going to die. And I thought, if I run to my car, is it possible for me to get in? I'm 5 feet away, but the door's on the other side. And I remembered from my training, I wasn't going to make it into the car. And so the first thing that came to me, Dr. Ope, was to put my hands up in this way to show that I had nothing in my hands, that I was not a threat. And these are the words that came out of my mouth. I'm here to help you. You look cold. Why don't I get you a blanket from the back? And he looked at me, and he was in a very angry state. He said nothing, and he followed me to the back trunk. I opened the trunk, and I took out a blanket, and I put it around his shoulders. And I said, the ambulance attendants are not coming back for you. So why don't I take you to the hospital? Now, what I did next, I don't know if it was God. I don't know this whole thing, I can't explain it. But I had a briefcase in the passenger seat next to me. And I moved it into the back seat where normally prisoners and passengers go. The front seat is usually for police officers, but I had him sit in the front with me. And I sat in the driver's seat, and he closed the door. I closed the door, and I remember telling you that the heater was on, and he had a blanket, and all he was wearing was his underwear. You know what happened? He put his head down, and he started to cry. And I picked up my radio, and I called in. I said 1712 to control. I have Jimmy Donovan on board, and I'm taking him to the Oshawa General Hospital. The moment I said that, so many police officers were trying to get on the band, the radio waves, to say, he's crazy, be careful, he's dangerous. And all these things came out, and I'm looking at Jimmy with his head down, who's weeping, and I turned the radio down because I didn't want him to hear those words. And I drove him to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, the hospital attendants were ready for us, and they had a room because they did not want to have Jimmy in the lobby along with other medical people and any patients. So we went to this room, and we sat, and Jimmy and I started to talk. And we had this really nice conversation going on. And he was sitting on the examination table, and I was seated in a chair with my back to the door. We were waiting for the doctor. But all of a sudden, that door opened, and about 4 police officers tried to get in that door at a time. They were trying to squeeze in together. This was back in 1979, 1980. One had his gun out, another one had his billy club out, and the other 2 were just trying to squeeze in. And I imagined that they wanted to get a piece of Jimmy for some of the things that Jimmy had done, because Jimmy liked to beat on police officers. It usually took about 6 or 7 police officers to take him down, to arrest him. He was very strong and violent. He was missing most of his teeth. He had scars on his face and scars on his body. He was not a very pretty man. He was strong, and he was a hardened criminal. And so these guys jump in. Jimmy is sitting very quietly on the examination table. And what does Jimmy do? He throws off his blanket. He jumps on the ground. He gets in that position that he got in before, and he gets into his Hulk position. And now there's a challenge, and I'm right in the middle of it. The police officers against Jimmy. And I thought, I'm going to die. What am I going to do? And so I decided, okay, first thing I was going to do, I turned around and I looked at the police officers, my fellow officers, and I shouted at them. I said, you guys, get out of here. If I need you, I will call you. You either come in when I call you or when you hear me dying. So get out of here. And I looked at Jimmy and I pointed at him and I said, Jimmy, sit down. And Jimmy sat down. And everything was calm. We sat down and Jimmy and I continued the conversation. There was no need for the police. The doctor came in, gave him a shot about 45 minutes later. Now it was about 3:30 in the morning and it was time to go home. So I said to Jimmy, Jimmy, I'm going to take you home. And so Jimmy jumped in the cruiser and we started to talk. And Jimmy looks over at me, Dr. Ope, and he says, you know, Paul, and he was calling me by my first name. And this is really important. When you start to make a connection with someone, he wasn't calling me Officer Nadeau. That was a big thing. It's like in business, we don't try to use people's titles. We try to connect with them on a first name. And Jimmy and I were talking on a first name. He says, you know, Paul, he says, you are the nicest policeman I've ever met. And I said, well, thank you, Jimmy. Thank you. At the time I was going to church and this wonderful church. And I had these religious tracts with me. And I pulled one of these tracts out and I wrote my phone number down. And I said, Jimmy, if ever you would like to go to church, I would be happy to bring you. So just think about it. And he says, oh, I don't know, Paul. I said, I'm going to leave you with my phone number. Just think about it. And he took the tract and he held it because he didn't have any clothes other than his white underwear. So we get to his place, this tall high rise. And he says, would you like to meet my fiance? And I said, well, it's 3:30, almost 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm thinking, why not? I mean, why not? So I imagined in my mind.
You're still alive, right? That I'm still alive. So it's okay. I'm winning.
Yes, I'm still alive. Why not? And and the funny thing, I was imagining what she must look like because Jimmy he was a very violent man. And he wasn't he was at one time very attractive. I think his features were nice, but now his face was scarred, missing most of his teeth, his long, scraggly hair.
Policeman probably broke those teeth now. Maybe your brothers broke those teeth.
I'm thinking the same thing. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
So I'm thinking she must not be a very pretty girl, but heck, this is going to be fun. And so when we get to his floor and outside of his door, the door was opened by this beautiful, beautiful young woman wearing a floral dress. I can remember it to this day. And she, in the softest, most beautiful voice, she said, thank you, officer, for bringing my Jimmy home. And I said, you're very welcome. So I left them after a very brief, hello and very nice to meet you. And I went back to the police station and I finished my shift. I never thought.
Were you in uniform? Were you in uniform?
I was in uniform, full uniform.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Even to the hat. We had to wear our hats back then too.
Wow. Okay.
And here I am with this encounter with the most violent criminal. In fact, Dr. Ope, Jimmy had done some serious time in a penitentiary we have here in Canada for manslaughter. And he was put on what we call a kill squad. They had taken some prisoners, some hostages, and Jimmy's job was to kill the hostages if their demands weren't met. He was in jail for armed robbery. He had done very vicious assaults before. He was your typical, very, very violent offender. And that was the man that I was dealing with.
Let me connect this.
2 weeks go by, and
but go ahead, finish it up. So I was going to connect it. Go ahead, finish up the story. Go ahead.
It's coming. It's coming. Okay. I always come. So what happened next? What happened next is that I get a phone call, and it was from Jimmy's fiance. They wanted to go to church. And so I brought them to church the first week. Jimmy was dressed in a nice suit. She looked amazing. We went to church. The pastor greeted us. He shook our hands. He welcomed us. And nobody came to say hello to Jimmy. The congregation, nobody came to say hello. And we listened to the pastor's message about love and about welcoming people and really, really about connecting with human beings, no matter what. The second week happened, the third week happened, and nobody came to us. Nobody came at all. Here's where I believe that that congregation was taken hostage. There's some feedback there, but yeah, here's what happened. Nobody from that congregation. Yep. Nobody from that congregation came to say hello. Nobody came to welcome Jimmy or his fiance. No, none of my friends came to say hello to me. They judged Jimmy on his past and who he was. And here's where I believe that this is an example where I've witnessed how people have held themselves hostage to the beliefs that they had before, that all bad people are going to be bad people all the time. And this was their belief, even though the pastor was spreading the word of love and acceptance. And this happens when we have these preconceived notions and we attach a label to someone. They are different than us. Maybe their skin color is different, so I can't like them. Maybe their religious beliefs are different, so I can't like them. Maybe they have a criminal background, so I could never accept them into my life. This is where they keep themselves hostage to the beliefs that somebody else has given them or the ones that they have entertained. The thing is, Jimmy came to church and was looking for a new beginning, and nobody welcomed him. 5 weeks went by, nobody welcomed Jimmy. And so he finally said, no, I'm not coming back. And I said, I understand, Jimmy, I'm so sorry. And the good message that the pastor spread, nobody listened to. They all stayed in their comfort zones. They all stayed in their shell and in their bubble. And Jimmy left our jurisdiction a little while later. And about 2 years later, he was living in a different province. And I was on shift again one night when our sergeant walked in. And he said to us, he said, anybody remember Jimmy Donovan? And Jimmy Donovan had become my friend. He had stopped his criminal activity after he met me. And I said, yeah, we all do. And a lot of my comrades did not like the fact that I had become Jimmy's friend. And Jimmy had changed. And so he had changed when he was here, when he was in this jurisdiction that I lived in at the time. And the staff sergeant says, well, you won't have to worry about Jimmy anymore. He was shot dead by the police last night in a police shootout. And it hit me. That was my friend. It hit me that
whoa.
Yeah. And I felt so emotional because I knew that Jimmy had an opportunity to change his whole life around if only he had been accepted by the congregation and people who could welcome him. And I felt so saddened by that. And I still feel it today. Just talking about it, I feel a little emotional because I know that we could have changed this man's life. So when you ask me, can you share an example of how something that I witnessed on how people hold themselves hostage in business? It is by that. It is by prejudging someone and staying put and not making the offer, not accepting somebody. Your judgment, if you are locked into a preconceived judgment of someone based on they're homeless, they're no good, they're criminals, they're no good, they're terrorists, they're no good. Well, a terrorist saved my life. In the Middle East, a terrorist saved my life in 2005. I was about to be killed, and a terrorist saved my life. So I know that people can be reached. And if we hostage ourselves to those thoughts that they must all be bad and they're going to stay bad, I'm not even going to try to reach out and say hello. I'm not going to try to reach out and change the way in which people see you or the way I see you. I'm not going to listen. That's where people hold themselves hostage. They do it in life and they do it in business. And in business, it may be
100%.
Yep. So those are my thoughts.
Wow, that is profound. And for me to have even allowed you to finish it tells you how good that story was. I'm typically a very impatient host, but I'm learning. That was a great story. And I think it basically also reinforces how we hold ourselves hostage as a people, as even in tribe. We see it in my country, Nigeria, for instance. This thing you are saying is also playing out every day, where people from a certain tribe, they see somebody from another tribe, and they just judge him based on the preconceived notion of that tribe. I'm from the Yoruba tribe. I'm very proud of it, right? Many of my people, for instance, they take a look at maybe the Igbos, and they have this already preconceived notion about them, regardless of who that person is. The Igbos too may look at us and see, many of them say there's nothing good in being a Yoruba person, and that has held our nation hostage. And especially when one tribe is in power, like right now the Yorubas are in power, what you're going to find out over the next 4 years, the rest of the country probably going to hate that tribe, because that's what we did when the Hausas were in power, the people in the north. You find out that those in the east and the west, they basically bound together to just hate on the tribe. Now, while there might have been some justifications with individuals doing bad stuff, but we all play this game where we tend to project on people of that. Same thing happening in America, where it's like you see people holding themselves hostage, not even just to color, to also political beliefs. If you say you are a Trump supporter, a Biden person automatically projects Trump's characteristics on you, or the hatred of Trump on you. Same way, those of us who are Republicans, when you take a look at the Democrats, you are trying to judge them based on some of the policies. Meanwhile, the individual you are talking to may be totally different. So it's a good story to tell, and it can lead to tragic consequences, as you just pointed out. This self-hostage to limiting beliefs, to beliefs that we grew up from our parents. So but now you have shared one of the stuff that you learned from that experience. I'd like you to share briefly. Remember, I've got lots of questions for you. If you take 30 minutes on each one, we'll be here till tomorrow, and I'm not going to let you go until you answer my questions. So it's up to you. Okay? We are live, but it's okay. We are not limited by time. It's normally a 90-minute event. But if we go over, we go over, because the limited time one is still going to be on the podcast itself. Right now, we are doing a recording, so to speak, but we're doing it live in front of the world. So I'm not in a hurry. So give me what we consider 3 life lessons you learned from the incidents of Sullivan that you think everybody can benefit from, especially in our day-to-day interaction with each other and in business, of course. Go.
You bet. You bet. One of the greatest lessons I ever learned is that we are more similar than we are different. And when I started to really think about this in my early years as a police officer, it made a difference, because I was then able to put myself in the shoes of other people. We all laugh, love, and bleed in the same way. Now, we talked about skin color. We talked about religious beliefs. We talked about all things that people may see different in other people. But when we think about it, we're all human beings. We all want to survive. We love a family. We're born in a particular place. We're given a set of rules or religion or something like that. But when we go down to the core, everybody wants to be seen and heard. Everybody wants to be validated. Everybody wants to live a good life. So we are more similar than we are different. How does this apply to life? It applies to life when you're talking to someone who may be in crisis. Maybe it's a loved one. And all of a sudden, they are emotional, they're upset, they're angry. If we then put ourselves in their shoes, what is it that they would like to hear from us? Would they like to hear some advice, or do they just want us to listen? So imagining what it must be like to be in their shoes, what would I want someone who is standing in front of me to say or to do? Do I just want them to listen? So imagine that. We are more similar than we are different. That is so important to know. For example, I worked in the Special Victims Unit, working with victims of sexual assault and child abuse. And if you can imagine this, they had been, in many instances, a woman or a girl was sexually assaulted or raped by a man. And then all of a sudden, a male detective, the first male that they see after the assault is me. They don't want to see a man, and they certainly don't want to talk about what happened to them. And so how do I, as a police officer, how can I be compassionate? How can I be empathetic? And how can I speak with them? Because what I say in the next several minutes can make a difference in their lives. It can make them think, I'll never talk to another man again, or, wow, he's treating me with respect. He's treating me with dignity. He's allowing me to take my time. He understands me. So I'm imagining myself as the victim of a terrible sexual crime. How would I want the person, the detective, the investigator, whoever you want to call it, to treat me? So remember, number one, we are more similar than we are different. In this way, we can treat people the way that we would like to be treated ourselves. That is the golden rule. And the platinum rule is that we can treat people the way that they would like to be treated. That is the platinum rule. Now, the second rule or lesson that I would like to share, one of the most profound lessons that I learned, is that you get what you give. It's very true. We are energy, right? Everyone is this vessel of energy, and we spread our energy to other people. And if my energy is low, if I don't believe in myself, if I have no confidence, if I'm a salesperson and I don't believe that I can sell, that's the energy I'm going to be transmitting to my customer. They're going to think this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and that's what they're going to receive. So you get what you give. The same applies when you have confidence. And when you are very self-assured, you have this energy, you walk into the room and you want to transmit this energy, which will get transmitted no matter what you say or do, it's going to come out of you. So people are going to receive what you give. Now, if I give you dignity and respect, I am likely to get that in return. You get what you give. Is it going to happen all the time? No. Is it going to happen most of the time? Yes. How can I say so? Because I have reached terrorists. I have reached criminals. I have reached people that you would never think would give you dignity and respect in return. All I had to do was give it to them first. And this is important. Listen, seek first to understand and then to be understood. That is my third lesson. That is my third big message to everyone. In any negotiation, in any sale, in anything that you do, even in a conflict with a loved one, don't make it about you. Your intent should be focused on the person that you're with. Seek first to understand, what is it that you're going through? How can I help? Let me listen. And please tell me what's going on. How can I help you get from point A to point B? Do you want me just to sit here and listen to you? Or would you like me to give you advice after you've spoken? Those are the three biggest lessons that I've learned. We are more similar than we are different. Imagine yourself in the person's shoes, be it a family member, a loved one, a significant other. What are they going through? Imagine their world and negotiate with them and communicate with them from their world and not necessarily from yours. The second one
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And the second one, yeah. No, I was just gonna repeat them. The second one is really, you get what you give. And so make sure that what you give is high energy, high value, and that you give something that you would like to have returned to you, because the universe normally does that. And the third one is to listen with your soul, and truly your intent should be focused on the person that you're with. Those are my three lessons there, Dr. Ope. Oh, you're muted.
Yes, I know. Sorry. No, that's profound. Those three lessons, because I try to see what lessons I can learn or apply in every situation. I hope you guys at home, you're having great fun with Paul Nadeau, the real life hostage negotiator, who is also negotiating in the boardrooms. We are going to go to the boardrooms in a minute, because you guys know I'm all about how can I apply this? How can you apply this in your daily life? But he said something very profound that I think every one of us need to imbibe. It's difficult to do. You get what you give. And that is so true. You know, you get what you give in your marriage. You get what you give in business. And many times we forget that. And that's why I'm reinforcing it. All right. Many of us, you go out there, you just want to take, but you're only going to get what you give. If you are helping people, you get help. It's even in the scriptures, right? Whatever a man sows, that is what he's going to reap. Okay, so you get what you give. And we need to bear that in mind. And the third point I really like, because I've had somebody say it before, that the number one reason why the whole world is messed up, why our marriages fail, why our businesses fail, and why governments even fail is because we are focusing too much on ourselves, not on the other person. Okay, that it is like it's called selfishness, right? That most times we go into situations, we are thinking about how we feel. Okay, it just happened to me this morning. For instance, I'm not going to mention him. Somebody said something to me. Okay, somebody who had agreed to speak at my event, for instance, he just sent me a message this morning. Say, no, I'm not going to speak because there are some people who are not nice to me on your lineup. Okay, now it's exact words. Okay, who are part of the people who are speaking at your event. Now, obviously, it was taken from his own end because it was hot. Some things happened. Maybe some of those guys had said something to him in another room. I wasn't even there. I don't know what happened. So I should have been more empathetic even and say, okay, try to understand how it felt. Yeah, he's taking from his own side as for the situation. But I myself too realized later that I made this because I got upset. So I was talking to him that, listen, you promised. You already sent out your paper. We've already done the videos. You are supposed to be on the speaking circuit. It's 2 days to the time. You agreed a month ago. That's how I was going at him. Then later I realized that I'm thinking about it also from my end. Okay, I'm not going to get this speaker. I'm not going to get that speaker. And then I'm upset that then I started really telling him that, why are you being childish? You're a professional. What does it matter if you don't like people who are speaking? You're not going to be on the same stage with them. But in retrospect, after I spoke to him that way and I said, okay, and I just moved on. Then I'm sitting there because I really like this gentleman. Okay. Then I'm thinking, I didn't even try to empathize with him to find out why it felt so hard to say I'm going to withdraw from speaking. Maybe we'll have come up with a different end because now we basically everybody just went their ways. I'm upset. He's upset. I could have said from what you just said now, focus more on his issues. That okay, I understand you don't want to speak anymore. But what really happened? Why are you really this hurt? Is there anything I can do? Maybe call this other gentleman that you say was very upset, was very rude to you in another room. Maybe we can make peace here. Maybe I would have succeeded. He probably still wouldn't have spoken, but maybe I could have made peace between two guys. But I didn't do that. And in life, most of us are like that. Just like in marriages, maybe your spouse hurt you, but you're talking about, you feel hurt. Let me put it that way. And you are talking more about your own hurt when you are talking to your spouse. You are not trying to find out why she's that way. And I learned that a while back. And it has made me a better husband. It has made my marriage better because now I don't automatically get angry if my wife is in a kind of mood or behaving somehow. I want to find out what exactly is up with her. Is she okay? Was there a problem at work today? And she herself has been stunned that I have changed the way typically I would go to work. Anything little thing, I go to work with her. But now I think we have a great relationship because now we talk more, now we have more fun, now we care more about each other because I'm not looking at it. I read it somewhere. Okay, saying if you care, you start from the point of view of the other person. And I failed myself today, and I'm going to go back to that gentleman because I realized that in my immediate reaction to his comments, I missed an opportunity to help a brother out who is hurting, obviously. He must have felt because he's a very big fan of mine. It's not like a casual guy that I just met. He's a very, very big fan. And all of a sudden, I'm saying, okay, you don't want to speak? F you. It's okay. And I moved on. When I could have helped him deal with the situation and maybe get a room together for the other guy, because both of them are great guys and they're my friends. I didn't step up and be a good hostage negotiator. So thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, let's move it now to more practicals now, because it's clear a lot of us hold ourselves hostage. So what I would like you to share with us is how can somebody who is holding himself or herself hostage negotiate their way out of the hostage crisis? Because now studying you is making me think differently about hostage situations. Because you talked about two different types of hostages in your book. To tell you I've read it. In your book, I've read it overnight to try to figure out who's this guy, okay? And I would like you to share that with the audience, the different kinds of hostages, okay? Explain it to them. And then what can somebody who finds himself either putting himself hostage or facing a situation where somebody they know is in a hostage situation, not the terrorist type, but the second type, how can they work their way out of it? I hope my question is clear, because sometimes I get convoluted. Did you understand me? The question is on the screen.
Okay, you bet. I would first like to comment on, I would first like to comment on the scenario that you just gave us about the speaker that you had and the conflict that arose in that situation where he had promised you to be somewhere, to be on your event, and then 2 days before the event, he decides that he's not going to because of his ego and something that happened to him. As a negotiator, we have as a negotiator, one of the things that we have to realize is that there are certain things that are within our control and certain things that are not within our control. If something like that happens at the end of a deal, that a deal is broken, as negotiators, all we can pretty much do is remind the person to be the best version of themselves. To say, I understand that you had a conflict with X in that room, but I want to also remind you that this is very important for me and for you, and that we reached an agreement. And I'm asking you to be the best version of yourself and to follow through on your commitment to me. Let's forget about what happened in that room, because that is not part of my event. And what I want to do is I want to focus on you when you're in that event. And I'm asking you to be the best version, bring yourself forward, because I know you, I like you, and I've trusted you. And you made an agreement with me that I've really counted on. And so I'm asking you to step up and to leave your personal feelings about this individual behind and just to focus on the goodness that we're going to bring to the event. That is one of the many ways in which we can approach a conflict. Conflict is not always bad. It sometimes creates opportunities for us to get even closer to the person that we're in conflict with, because we get to hear them speak to me, let me know. So I just wanted to throw that in, because that's a negotiation, and we can't let and we can't let our personal ego, we can't respond with anger. The idea, we don't want to react, we want to respond. Viktor Frankl said that between stimulus and response, there is a moment. And in that moment, we get to choose our response. And in that response, we get to choose our destiny, which is very true. Because when we take a moment just to think, okay, now I don't want to get angry. This is not going to help the situation. I'm going to take a deep breath. And how am I going to proceed? Well, I'm going to put myself in the person's shoes. They're upset. And I'm going to acknowledge that they are upset. But then I'm going to remind them that this is between you and I. And then I'm going to take it from there. Okay, so let's get to how can anyone holding him or herself hostage negotiate their way out of a hostage crisis? Well, here is the thing. One of the very most important things about negotiating your way out of being a hostage to yourself, to think those negative things, is to become aware of it. To the awareness, because sometimes we might feel this tightness in our chest. We might feel very uneasy, and we just feel down and we feel blue, and we're not quite certain what it is. We have to check in with ourselves. We have to think to ourselves, what am I saying? What am I thinking? Oh, I know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that I'm not good enough. I'm thinking that I can't possibly get this job that I'm after, or this date that I'm after, or this relationship, or this sale, whatever. I just got to change that focus. So become aware of that narrative. It's so very important to check in with yourself and to say, what am I thinking of right now? because we cannot think two thoughts at the same time. For example, if I were to tell you, hey, there's a big pink elephant in this room. Well, the moment you think pink elephant, you can't have two thoughts. You can't think pink elephant and blue elephant at the very same moment. You can think of it one after the other, but not at the same moment. And this is how our dominant thoughts really control our narrative. So if we're thinking, I can't do this, we are hostage because we're already sending a message to our subconscious mind that we can't do this. I want you to imagine the conscious mind and the unconscious mind in the following way. The conscious mind would be like the captain of a ship. Now, we've all seen those movies where a ship is going through the waters and the captain shouts out to his crew or her crew, veer to the left, we're going to the left. And the crew says, aye, aye, captain. And they go and they do everything they possibly can to get the ship moving to the left. It is the very same idea when our conscious mind is speaking to the unconscious mind. The conscious mind is the captain of the ship. So if the captain of the ship says, I can't do this, the unconscious mind says, whoa, aye, aye, captain. The captain says we can't do this, and they will do everything they possibly can to self-sabotage you. Now, the word sabotage, when you take a look at that, what does the word sabotage mean? Sabotage means to damage, destroy, or obstruct something. That's the word sabotage. So you hear news in which something was sabotaged, you think explosions, you think damage, you think lots of terrible things. And it's usually political, it's usually motivated in some way, business, whatever. But it's someone who did a deliberate act to damage, destroy, or obstruct something. That's sabotage. Now, when you put the word self in front of that, what are you doing? You're damaging, destroying, or obstructing yourself by the thoughts that you entertain. That's not what we want to do. We want to change the narrative by becoming aware of the narrative. One of the ways in which I really encourage people to take control of their self-sabotage is to start their day off with intention. And what I mean by that, Dr. Ope, and to everyone listening, we have control over our lives and our thoughts. It is a choice. And I love that word, that 6-letter word, choice. We get to choose how we respond. We get to choose what we feel. We get to choose our happiness. Nobody gives us happiness. It's not like somebody comes up and says, here's a box of happiness, open it. And you're thinking, I don't feel like being happy. I don't want to open this box. Why are you giving me? It's a choice. Do I want to open the box of happiness that I have within me? That's a choice. You go somewhere, you're on a picnic, and some people are having a great time. And some people might be saying, I hate picnics. I hate picnics. We're all individuals. Somebody may be having a terrible time on that because they've chosen not to feel happiness. It's a choice. So starting our day off with intention means when you wake up, start your day off with gratitude. Take 30 seconds. Hey, I'm alive. A lot of people didn't make it through the night, and I pray for them, but I'm here. Thank you. I've got my health and I've got a roof over my head. I am so grateful. I've got a person in my life that I truly love. I've got children. I've got a wife. I've got a husband. I've got a job. I am grateful. I am grateful. And if you don't have these things, find something that you are grateful for, but start your day off with gratitude. That sets a mindset. The next thing is you walk into the closet of your mind. We take so much time to dress and to look good for the world, right? We want to clothe our exterior body. But what people don't do is they don't clothe their interior selves. They don't walk into the closet of their minds and pick out an attitude for the day. Imagine your mind as being 2 closets and a hallway. And in the one closet, you have all these dark things. You have sadness, regret, disappointment, loss. We all have that. We want to keep that closet locked. We don't want to peek into that closet. It's a dark place. On the other side of the corridor is this beautiful closet. It's filled with love. It's filled with gratitude. It's filled with faith and hope. We want to open that door and say, yes, I'm going to wear faith today. I'm going to wear love today. I'm going to wear empowerment today. I am amazing. I am fantastic. You start to say these mantras and you start to believe them. Don't just say them, because here's the difference. If I go and I say, I'm amazing, I'm great, I'm really going to have a fantastic day. If I say that, how much do you think I'm going to believe it, right? But if I say, I'm amazing, I'm fantastic, I'm going to have a great day, if I bring that energy out and I really truly believe it, it is like believing the opposite of paranoia. Paranoia is the belief that the world is conspiring against you. The opposite is pronoia, belief that the world is conspiring for you. And bring
Wait, what is, did you say pronoia? What is that? I've never heard of that word before. Pronoia.
It is the opposite. Yes. Well, a very good friend of mine, Glenn Morshower, who is an actor, he's an American actor, and he's on Clubhouse quite a bit. He brought this word to a Clubhouse room and started to talk about it. It is the opposite of its brother, paranoia. Paranoia is a belief that the world is conspiring against you. Pronoia is the belief that the world is conspiring for you. And remember, I talked about we are all energy. The moment we start to believe that the world is conspiring for us, guess what? It starts to conspire for us because we bring that energy out and people see this high value energy in us and they say, yes, I'm attracted to that. And the universe says, you believe I'm going to give you good things, so it gives you good things. That is how we should respond to life. So how can we get ourselves out of this state of being a hostage? Be aware of what you're feeling. And then once you're aware that you're saying negative things to yourself, change the narrative. Change the narrative, change your physiology. Start to move around. Start to say, okay, I've got this. I've got this. Go out for a walk. Start to listen to some tunes that you really like. Start to run and jump and maybe even dance right where you are. Change the physiology, change the narrative. When you start to do these things, you change your whole aura. Your whole energy changes, but you have to believe it and you have to keep doing it. It's like a muscle. If you don't exercise a muscle, it doesn't get stronger. So exercise that muscle. That's how I would.
Wow. Wow, guys. I hope you guys are making notes. This man is dropping it for me to keep quiet and just let him just talk. You know, he's dropping some serious gems here. Now he's talking about if you are not making notes, I'm making notes. Start your day with intention. And he's so right. Many times when I start my day without being intentional of what I want to do that day, it ends up becoming a messed up day. I teach my students that I saw that from my wife, who claimed that she learned it from me, even though I myself don't remember. She said in one of your trainings many years ago, like 2003, 2004, you said something that plan your day in advance. What do you want to be to happen tomorrow? Think about it. Put it in your mind before you go to bed so that when you wake up in the morning, in fact, write it down so that you know what you want to accomplish during the day. My wife is the most efficient human being I know in terms of getting things done. And she has only one secret. She doesn't do all this mental stuff. She doesn't go to any place to go lunch. She does only one thing. Before she goes to bed at night, she takes a piece of paper. She has this jotter that she tears out. She writes exactly what she wants to happen tomorrow in order, 6, 7 things that she wants to achieve tomorrow. Either kiss my husband or go to the market or whatever. Everything that she wants a day to be the next day. She writes it down before she goes to bed. And then she wakes up executing it like a maniac. She doesn't do anything that is not in that thing. It has to be an emergency for her to even think about it. And I realized that sometimes before midday, she has accomplished what I'm not accomplishing in 16 hours going up and down because she was intentional. And it's very difficult to take her off her game. She decides a day before she gets up. Many times I just wake up and I take the day as it goes. Maybe if I'm unlucky, I open my WhatsApp and I have somebody there complaining about some political figure or about Nigeria, and that sets the tone of my day because I wasn't intentional on what I want to do. So if you guys are listening, that's a very powerful nugget that Paul just shared. Another one is shared that I love. So it's a good image. He said, walk into the closet of your mind and pick out an attitude for the day. Now I have to be imagining that, okay, I have different clothes, different attitudes in my wardrobe. The same way I go to put on a jacket, I need to put on an attitude for the day. That is so massive. Massive. I've never had it said like that. Thank you so much, Paul, because that imagery, I can see staying with me for a long time. When I wake up now, because I have a working closet, right? So as I'm walking in there now, I have to put aside for the attitude of the day. Okay, what do you want to do today? Do you want to be a happy man? Do you want to be a man that is going to let yesterday's problem? So, guys, I'm recapping him in a very extensive way because these are the nuggets. This is why this man was here, to help us. We are not on the war front. Most of us listen to this, we don't have drug issues, but we are hostages because we don't even know that we are. Number 3 thing he said that I like, he said, be aware of your situation. Ignorance is what is making you perpetuate sadness, is what is making you perpetuate hopelessness. If you are aware that you have a problem, then it is easy to find that solution. I love that because many of us go through life without being aware. Okay, we are not aware. So thank you so much for that. And of course, it says change the narrative. Powerful, powerful stuff. Now, these are some of the stuff, by the way, in his book. Okay, but him saying it out loud to my hearing now is a whole different game because I got the book on Audible. Let me give you guys a place to get it. Paul's book, Take Control of Your Life, is available on Audible. That's where I got it. I know it's available on Amazon, and it's also available on his website. If you go there, you are going to get more direction as to how to get that. Guys, go there and check it out. J. Paul Nadeau. By the way, am I calling that right?
Is it it's Nadeau? It's Nadeau. You're very close. Nadeau.
Okay, Nadeau. Okay, like Nadeau. Because it reminds me of my partner, my managing partner. His name is Nadeau. Okay. J. Paul Nadeau. Guys, you want to go check that out? Get that book because I'm a very big believer in mindset. Mindset dictates everything else. You might be technically sound, you might be knowledgeable. If your mind is messed up, if you're an hostage to yourself, you're not going nowhere. So thank you so much. Let me roll out some comments so far. Olanriwaju Mokta says bombs are being dropped here. Learned so much now. He's joining us. I think it's from Facebook. I see him again. He said, wow, now the man is engaged with you totally. It's you and him today. Just here, he say he would like to know Paul Nadeau's book title is Take Control of Your Life, and that is where you get it. Thank you guys so much. Those of you are watching us from different platforms. Also on Clubhouse, I think some people are already posting in there. Wanna Maker say you set your day with intentions. I love that. And I see Ellie. Prof is still in the house. I'm sure Prof will have some questions for you when we are done here. And then when we go to Clubhouse, they are all in Clubhouse waiting for you out there. Okay. All right. Let me see here. Okay. Yes, go ahead and pick up the package if you need to do that while I engage them for a second. Okay. All right, guys, you are with us. You are listening to Paul Nadeau, who is a life coach, best-selling author, former police detective, and a hostage negotiator. Believe that or not, an international peacekeeper who is now taking his skills into the boardrooms, into everyday life to help to save lives and to restore relationships as well as business issues. Nobody can really be as good as somebody who has gone through that kind of situation. He himself had a very difficult upbringing with his parents, and where he became hostage essentially to his environment growing up. So that shaped him to be able to be a great teacher for us. As we go forward, before we go to the next question with Paul, I want to remind us again, we have a super conference coming up Tuesday to Thursday. That's in 2 days. It's about AI and technology, how to apply that into your everyday business, where we're going to be having 12 of the most outspoken practitioners who are using AI for their own businesses. Let me quickly show you a promotional video that we have for that event. I'm going to show you another one. We have several of them, but I'll just show you one now where you can see the kind of caliber of people that we have coming. I mean, we've got basically the who is who in this AI game. We have Lekon Bashua, who is a project management officer at Google Inc. and the founder of F3 Ventures, where they help startups access angel investor funding all over the world. We have Professor Chris Imafidon, also going to be there at the event, the father of the genius family, who keeps denying that his children are not geniuses, but all 5 of them or so passed college when they are still in high school. He has these special techniques he used to transform anybody into a genius. He's going to be there. He's also going to be talking to us about how to make your book, written with the assistance of AI, to become a bestseller out there. We have Luce Estrella, that I consider to be the godfather of prompt engineering. That's how I've christened him. Because when I see that guy talk about prompt engineering, I'm just in awe. We have Ifeok Nkem, the founder of the hottest AI pro.com marketingblogs.io right now. To me, that is by far the best AI software out there right now, for the simple reason that it combines 25 different AI tools into one. And I'm so proud that it's a Nigerian. That product itself has sold over $2.6 million this year alone in 6 months. That's how hot it is. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that later. Ifeok will be there to come and show us how to monetize that tool and how to increase your bottom line using AI. We have David Jones, who was here yesterday as my guest on the podcast, who's going to be talking about the metaverse. The man is so all into the metaverse that he made a convert of all of us yesterday. He's going to be talking about how to get that money on the metaverse. We have Hot Potter the Third, Mr. Neurodivergent himself. He's going to be coming in to tell us what that is all about. And we have Colin Drummond, incidentally my guest for tomorrow on the podcast show, a former TMZ Washington Bureau chief and a 2 times nominated Emmy Award a journalist. So he's going to be here tomorrow to tell us all about it. We have Rume Hofi. Rume, incidentally, is also a Nigerian. They call him the crypto preacher. He's going to be talking about how to apply AI to transform your crypto business. I can't wait for that one. And then we have Sherry Coleman. Sherry Coleman is all about how to turn your passion into profit using AI to create award-winning courses. I can't wait for Sherry. So we've got some of the most amazing speakers in the business who are going to be coming in from Tuesday to come and be part of this. They are going to be speaking for at least 1 hour each. It's a 3-day event. And you guys know I don't do 5-10 minutes type of thing. I want people to really throw it down, show you what it's all about, and then you get to ask them questions. But let's watch this 1-minute video before I bring back Paul Nadeau, our special guest for today. Here we go. Awesome, guys. As you can see, we are ready for you. Please forget what you see on the screen as far as time is concerned. It is actually 10 a.m. Eastern time to 4 p.m. Eastern time. That means 4 p.m. Nigerian time or West African time to 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. That's the only way we can make it so that everybody from different areas can tune in. 10 a.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern. That means 4 p.m. Nigerian time to 10 p.m. Nigerian time. I look forward to seeing you. You can register now. We've got a free registration. We've got the silver and we've got the gold. So you got something for everybody. If you don't have money to pay, you can still attend. Register for the free version. If you need the recording and some of the other goodie bags that we're going to be giving, then be sure to register for the silver or the gold. Either way, be there, because you can only benefit when 12 people are going to gather together to share their knowledge that has taken them years to gather. The least you can do for yourself is to be there and learn. I will see you guys now. Let's go back to our exciting session, life transforming session with the great Paul Nadeau. Thank you so much, Paul. We have been learning amazing stuff since you came. Now we are going to go to business a little bit. Because all these your skills, I want to see how can I use it to make more money. That's what I do. All right. So here, but before we go to that, Paul, I know from what you have been discussing, mental wellness is a very important part for every entrepreneur. Now we are going to entrepreneurs and people in business now. Not those in shelters, not the criminals, not those guys that want to bomb places up that you have to deal with. I'm talking about your regular entrepreneurs. Many of us don't even appreciate how important mental wellness is for. So I'm going to let you take a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to be cutting in now if you're taking too long because there are too many questions left for you and we're running out of time. So take a couple of minutes and tell us about the importance of mental wellness for entrepreneurs and how it impacts their overall success. Go for it.
You bet. What a great topic. Now, first of all, I want to let everyone know that our mental wellness is our responsibility. It's not the responsibility of other people. Other people can help us to build on our mental wellness, but the overall responsibility for our mental wellness lies with us. Can you hear me?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. So when we think about this, is that how can we discuss the importance of mental wellness for entrepreneurs? It is a matter of that narrative I was talking about before. For example, if you are a new business owner, you're starting a new business, most of us, remember I said that we are more similar than we are different? A lot of us might suffer from thinking that we are out of our league. We might get this idea that we don't belong, or what am I going to do? It's some people call it imposter syndrome. And some people say, well, I don't deserve this and I'm not good enough. And again, that's the narrative that you start to tell yourself. So using the example of a new business owner, it's important to recognize that you can change the narrative. It's as opposed to telling yourself, I am so intimidated by this. You can change the narrative to say, I've got so many great things I want to learn from this. And that changes the energy I was talking about earlier. Fear and excitement are the same energy. They're just a different way of looking at it. For example, if you're afraid of doing something, you say, well, I'm afraid of doing this. I can't do this. As opposed to like, I have to do this. I have to run a business. As opposed to saying, I get to run a business. You see the difference? It's the same thing. I have to go to the gym as opposed to I get to go to the gym. I have to lose weight as opposed to I get to lose weight. Once you start to tell yourself, okay, I get to do this. I am not an imposter. I have to start asking the right questions. What must I do to get to where I want to be? And so this is the mental wellness component. It is talking to yourself affirmatively and getting rid of that negative narrative. Now, a lot of people say, well, how do I get rid of the negative narrative, Paul? How do I take control of my mental wellness? And I turn this voice that sounds just like me, by the way, that voice that tells me I can't do nothing, I can't do anything right, I can't run a business, I can't get sales. That voice that's talking to you, I can't negotiate. That voice sounds just like you. So it is lying to you. Just remember that that voice is lying to you and that you are a warrior. You were created to be a warrior. You are as every bit as special as anybody else. Nobody in this world was created better than you. Nobody in this world was given more opportunity than you. We're all created equal. We're all given the same opportunities. And it is up to us to step into our greatness by challenging that voice. Now, my self-sabotaging voice comes into my head, and it will happen to even the greatest of people, the biggest of motivational speakers. Tony Robbins suffers from this, but the difference between, say, for example, Tony Robbins, who gets that negative self dialogue or narrative in his voice, and maybe somebody who's not able to take it, he is aware. He's aware and he knows what to do. Me, I've given my voice a name. You may want to try this. If you have a negative voice in your head that drops in and you're aware, it drops in, for example, I'm going to use myself. Hey, Paul, there's no way that you can start this new business. It's just too much work. It's too this. I've identified that that's the voice. That's someone who sounds like me, but it's not me. And I have to challenge that voice. So you know what I've done? I've given my voice a name. I call mine Bob. And there's a funny story here. Bob is someone from my past, and he was a speaker, and he's quite influential in certain circles. And he was my buddy. And he was saying, you know what, Paul, I'm going to introduce you to these people, and they're going to connect you, and you're going to be able to speak on stages, and you're going to be doing. And I said, hey, Bob, thank you so much. This is so nice. So he would bring me to these events. He would do the speaking and wouldn't introduce me to anybody. So he lied. Now, I'm foolish. I believed him, and I went the second time and the third time until I realized, hey, you keep slapping yourself. He keeps slapping you. That's not fun. And when I realized it was getting slapped and he was lying to me, I said, okay, wait a minute. You know what, Bob? I don't believe you anymore. And he no longer became part of my circle. So I disassociated with it. But now I call my lying voice Bob. So when Bob drops into my head, I say, hey, Bob, get the heck out of here. You're lying to me again, and I don't want you here. I get to close the door. See ya. And I replace that narrative with positive narrative. Your mental wellness is your responsibility. Did you want to say something?
All right. Before you go on, no, before you say something else, because you're already taking the next question, so you might as well take it because I really want this on the record, okay? So that people, like I told you, the way we normally do this, we're going to cut out the tape because people can't watch 2-hour video at once. We're going to cut it into small segments, so that way people might not be able to watch all, but they can see the one they like. So this one, I think, is very, very paramount for everybody. Okay, what are some practical strategies or practices that entrepreneurs can implement to improve their mental well-being? That's what is important. What are the strategies I can use to improve my mental well-being? Because sometimes my brain self is not it's like something is loose. Sometimes it's just like this morning. My mental state was just upset when it could have been better. At that, my friend, okay, when I could have helped him deal with a situation that was really very hurtful for him, okay. So maybe if I knew better strategies, maybe next time I will remember that I know one, that I should stop focusing on my problem and what I need to happen. I should focus first on that guy. Why are you upset that this man said this to you? Why are you angry? How can we deal with it? Solve his own problem first before I talk about. But what else can we do? Take your time on this. I'm gonna give you up to 3-4 minutes to address this because it's a very, very important question. So practical strategies for entrepreneurs, okay, that they can use or that they can implement to improve their mental well-being, because we all know now mental well-being is critical to success in the marketplace, right? Go for it, Paul. You got it.
You bet. All right. So let's talk about some practical strategies or practices that you as an entrepreneur can use to improve your mental wellness and your mental being. First of all, believe in yourself. And this really requires some self-evaluation. The great philosopher Socrates once said that an unexamined life is a life not worth living. And there's a whole story behind why Socrates said that. But what he was getting at was the importance of examining yourself, of taking some time. And I recommend doing this every couple of weeks, is just to sit down with yourself and to really examine where you are and where you want to be. I encourage people to take a piece of paper and to draw a straight line through the piece of paper. And on the one side of the paper, they write what's going right in their world, what's going well. And on the other side of their piece of paper, they write things that aren't going right in their world. So when you take a look at what's going well, it may be a relationship, it may be your physical wellness, it may be a number of things. You celebrate those things. Then you go to the next slide and you see the things that are not working well for you. And it might be a relationship. So here's where you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Am I at fault here? Be honest with yourself. Am I the one who's creating this conflict with this other person? Is there something that I must do? Now, as an entrepreneur, that may be you're examining your business life and it's not working as well as you would like it to. You have to be brutally honest and you have to ask yourself, is there something I'm doing that I could improve on or that I can do better at? And that's one of the great big key components of making these improvements. Examine your life first. Now, the next thing I would like to talk about for entrepreneurs is using a negotiation model to help you in every aspect of your mental wellness. And here's how it applies. I call my negotiation model PEER, P-I-E-R. Now write that down, P-I-E-R. The P stands for planning. In everything in life, as a new entrepreneur, whether you're going to be meeting new clients, whether you're going to be making a sales pitch or making a negotiation, you've got a plan, right? You've got to put some planning into it. Who am I going to be dealing with? What is it that I am challenged with? What is it that I can do to get me from point A to point B? So plan. We plan our strategies. We plan ourselves. We negotiate with ourselves first. We start to tell ourselves, you've got this. You've got this. You've got this. You've got this. So PEER, P-I-E-R, the P is for planning. Plan what you're about to do. Plan your business. Plan how you're going to get people involved, how you're going to encourage people, how you're going to present yourself as a leader, as an entrepreneur, what it is you're going to do. Now, the I in this PEER model is for intent. Your intent must be focused on your client. And this all goes to mental wellness, and you'll see, because I'll wrap this all up. When you start to focus and start to negotiate or do business for the purpose of serving your clients, you become a servant. And it's really great because by serving them, by being a coach, by being someone who guides them, you are bringing happiness to yourself. You ever felt that? Where you've really, you've counseled someone, you've helped someone, it gives you that good feeling. And this goes to our mental wellness. It builds us up. But not only does it do that, it helps you in your business because people really start to feel that you care about them. So you plan, you have the intent focused on your client, you really bring your best self out, and you start, you don't want to go for the close in anything. You want to really coach and counsel. Don't worry about it. Now, the E in PEER is for your entrance and engagement. Bring your best self forward and really keep people interested and engaged. As an entrepreneur, that may be people that you are recruiting or people that you are engaging with. Just bring your best self in. Your first impression makes a lasting impression. So make sure it's good. Make sure that you keep them engaged by asking open-ended questions, by asking them where they want to see themselves. How can I help you to get to where you want to be? And when you do all these things, it really helps to create what is the R in PEER, which is relationship. build relationships. Now, those are just some ideas that can help you. Now, I want to also talk about the importance as an entrepreneur of mental wellness in really, when I started out, I said, make sure that you do this self-examination, because examining yourself, where it is that you are and where you want to be, may require you to ask those hard questions. What must I do to be the entrepreneur I want to be? Do I have to join a seminar, this wonderful live event that Dr. Ope is putting on? This will give me the tools. This will give me ideas. This is one of the things as an opportunity, as an entrepreneur, that I must do. I must go to more sessions, more live events. I must take a course. I must model someone that I respect who is in business. This will help my mental wellness, because I'll start to believe in myself. I'll start to learn things that I can then apply. I'll start to really come into myself with this confidence and this courage that is required as an entrepreneur. Remember, you are a warrior. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves. I told you, start your day off with intention and use mantras in your day.
All right.
Yep.
I really have to cut in because we got too much coming up here. You've given us the pair because you are going to the next question. It's like you always anticipate my questions. So I want to stop because I really like to compartmentalize questions so that when somebody is watching it, this is about how to improve your mental well-being, and it's shared the peer strategy with us. Plan, have intent, how you engage, and the relationships you cultivate. I think those are awesome. If you need more on that, guys, you need to get this book, Take Control of Your Life. It is available on Audible, it is available on Amazon, and it is available on his website, jpaulnadeau.com/publications. You want to get it because for me, listening to it from the audio, and I only just got it yesterday, knowing that I'm going to be interviewing him today, I'd like to know more. I was so amazed at the value that book gives you. So I'm not trying to market. You guys know I'm not about selling. If I want to sell, I'm selling myself. I'm selling my product. I don't promote people here. But this one, I recommend you guys get it and then go to his site. He has a mailing list where you can subscribe to his newsletter for free. For me, mindset, mental well-being is much more important than the technicals of the stuff. All of us know what we need to do to make money. All of us know what we need to do to create products, but we are not doing it because we are not in control of our life. We are not in control of our mindset. That is why I'm very bullish recommending this book to you. And God So Good is not a $1,000 stuff. It's just a book, okay, that everybody can afford. It's less than $50. Even the Audible version, I can't remember, they charge me they give you this stuff when you subscribe. I'm a member of Audible Club, so they give you this, what do they call it, every month that you can use it to buy books. That's what I use. But I think the price is less than $50. So you can. How much is it anyway? This book?
I think it's only in American dollars. It would be about 18 American dollars, and in Canadian dollars, maybe $22, $23.
Exactly. So $20 American money. Wherever you live in the world, you can afford that. At least if your well-being of state of mind is very important to you. So, but I want him to move from here and dovetail to another question that I'm going to set up, okay? Because sometimes, okay, and we have established that we hold ourselves hostage and we do what I call self-sabotage, where somehow, instead of us moving forward, our problem is not our enemy, but ourselves. So what I'm interested in with Paul right now, because I want to give you guys value at home, okay, is I want him to share with us any techniques, or even though he's already started talking about them, but we'll talk about them again. Can you share any techniques or tips for overcoming self-sabotage and limiting beliefs that hinder personal and professional growth? Because the reason why I wanted you to face this question squarely is it might be a time I just cut that section alone, send it to somebody instead of giving them a 2-hour video to watch, I can say, I want to listen to Paul on this issue, okay? And send them that tape that is 3 minutes or 5 minutes. So you are going to help us address this, encapsulate it, try to make it succinct so that people can understand those techniques or tips. You've been there, done that for overcoming self-sabotage. I see that a lot. It's why this question is important to me. When I now have someone like you in front of me, self-sabotage and limiting beliefs is what has hindered a lot of people in their personal growth. So if you can help us with your experience of over 31 years dealing with this stuff to advise normally sound human beings, not the ones on drugs, not the ones in Afghanistan, the ones trying to run a business. Normal guys, what are the techniques that you can share with them for overcoming self-sabotage and limiting beliefs? Go for it, Paul. You are rocking it. Let's go.
One of the ways that we can overcome our self-sabotage and our limiting beliefs is in the way in which we talk to ourselves and in the way in which we plan our days and plan our events. Remember, things are going to happen to you. That's just life. I remember Rocky, if anybody's watched the Rocky movies before with Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone. Yes. Yeah. He says, life ain't all rainbows and sunshine. It's a cold, nasty, and hard place, and it will knock you down to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. Nobody is going to hit as hard as life. It's not about how hard you're hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, how much you can take and keep moving forward. Now, if you know your value, go and get what you're worth. But don't be pointing the finger at him and her saying that you ain't where you want to be because of them. Losers do that, and that ain't you. So let's think about that. Life is going to hit us, folks. It's going to knock us down to our knees. One of the ways that we overcome these challenges is that we examine them and we put our minds to saying, okay, that just happened. And that's not going to define me. Whatever has happened to me, say I got some really bad news, maybe I lost my job, maybe a relationship didn't work out, and I'm really feeling this, I get to choose how I'm going to respond to this event. So to overcome that self-sabotaging of giving in, of staying on the mat, as the image that I gave you with Rocky, if Rocky had been knocked to the mat and never got up again, the movie would have been over and it would have been, hey, well, that wasn't great. That wasn't a great movie, but he didn't. He got up every time because he didn't let the knocks of life define him. He had more in store, and he drew from his energy, from his internal energy to face his opponent. And that's sometimes life. Life is going to be our opponents. So when you want to overcome self-sabotage and your limiting beliefs, you have to be that warrior that stands up to them and says, you will not define me. I get to do that. I get to choose how I feel about these circumstances. And I can lean on my coaching. I can lean on other people. And this is another way of really facing life's challenges by saying, what is it about this event that I can control? I got to focus on what I can control and what I don't want to focus on what I can't control. And if something happens to you, I'll take COVID-19 as an example. When that happened, so many people were concerned that they were going to die, that they were going to catch it, their loved ones were going to catch it, and really got into this self-sabotaging state of fear. A lot of people gave in to, I'll listen to the news and I'll really be afraid and I'm going to die. Whereas other people said, okay, that's something that I can't control. The disease I can't control, but what I can control is how I respond to it. I can control my physical distancing. I can control washing my hands. I can control my attention to the news and limiting it. I can do all these things. So one of the techniques for overcoming self-sabotage and your limiting beliefs is to ask yourself, what is it about this that I can control? And then do that. Don't think of the outcome. The outcome is something that you can't control. And for example, if you're thinking and you're afraid of a negotiation you're going into, well, you can't control whether or not you get that negotiation to the outcome to be successful. What you can focus on is bringing your best self to the moment and having, remember I told you about peer, planning, intent, engagement, bringing that out, having a negotiation with yourself and saying, you've got this, you're ready for this. Go out and believe.
Over that again for this particular question, because I think it's even more relevant here than elsewhere. So can you go over that that's a peer strategy of being able to deal with this where it applies? Go ahead. You understand what I said?
Absolutely. I created what is called peer negotiating, PIER. And the peer really represents a successful way of approaching life and business as an entrepreneur, as a negotiator, as a salesperson, as a human being, as someone involved in a relationship. Now, I want you to imagine, for example, even the idea of a date. All right. So if we use the peer for dates, it'll make sense. And it's very simple. The P stands for planning. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're someone who really wants to work out your mental wellness, whatever it is, you plan for it. If it's a negotiation you're going into, you want to find out as much as you possibly can about the person you're going to be negotiating with, the company, what it is that you present, the questions that you're going to ask. You plan. Imagine you're going on a first date. You're going to want to know as much as you possibly can about the person that you're going to date. You're going to want to present yourself, clothe yourself well, pick a place to meet. You're going to want to prepare yourself for that date. It's the same principle. I in peer is the intent. What is your intent? If your intent is focused only on yourself, for example, if you're going to the negotiation and you're going to talk all about you, it's going to be about you. Hey, this is what my company's got. This is your problem. And we've got all the solutions for you. We got this, we got that. And you're going to be really smart by dealing with us. What's going to happen there is that your intent is focused on you. It's not focused on your client. You never asked those questions. You never asked what it is that you're looking for. What are you looking to solve here? What is it that I can do to help you get there? Let's do a good match. Now, let's go back to the dating principle that I was talking about using peer. If you went into that date, and I'm talking to guys or girls, whoever, but if you went into that date, you asked that person out for a date, and you went in and you said, hey, I'm the best thing that you've ever met. I've got all of your solutions. I know that I'm the person for you. You don't even have to look any further. What do you think your date's going to think of you then? They're going to say he or she they never even asked what I'm looking for. They never showed genuine interest in me. Why would I go out with such a person? They're not listening to me. So let's apply that to your business, where if you think you've got all the solutions without asking the questions, what is it that you're worried about? What is it that you're looking to solve? Am I even a good fit? We may have a negotiation, and I come to find out if I ask these important questions, you might say, well, I'm looking to solve this. And I'm thinking, we don't have that. No, that's not something we can do. So let me refer you to someone who can. Without asking the questions, you have no idea. So your intent has to be focused. And how do you do that? You ask important, open-ended questions. You get information. You show genuine interest in that person. So that's the planning and the intent. The E is for entrance and engagement. When you first meet someone, have a smile. Check your body language, negotiate with yourself, put your chin up, your shoulders back, and say, I've got this. Walk in, and if you're comfortable in shaking hands and the other person is comfortable in shaking hands, shake hands, have a warm smile. Hi, it's really nice to meet you. Thank you for taking your valuable time to meet with me. I'm excited about this, and I can't wait to get to know you and to hear what it is that we can work on together. So I'm excited. That is your beautiful entrance. And when you engage someone by seeking first to understand and then to be understood. You don't say, I've got your solution. I've got X, Y, and Z. I've got this. I've got that. How could you know? As a hostage negotiator, I didn't do that. I didn't go in a hostage situation and speak to the hostage taker and say, "Oh, I know what you're going through, and the only way that you can get out of this is by giving yourself up and come on out. Otherwise, we're going to shoot you." You know, like, whoa, wait a minute. Lives are at stake here. You haven't even listened to me. That person who's taken a hostage could be in crisis. It could be that they were caught in a situation where they had no idea what they were doing, and they grabbed an innocent person because they had no other way of getting out, and they weren't.
That reminds me, sorry to cut in. That reminds me of that movie where what's his name now? This very popular black actor. The daughter needed a surgery. Sorry,
Denzel Washington.
Denzel. In that movie, the daughter needed I think it was a heart transplant or something, or a liver transplant, and they didn't qualify for insurance. Remember that movie?
I do.
Got frustrated, he went to the hospital and held the whole hospital hostage. Now, when the hostage negotiators come, if they didn't understand his motivation, okay, it looks like he's just a criminal who is coming to just but he has lost his mind because of his child. So I understand what you are saying 100%. Go ahead.
Yes, I believe that movie was John Q or something along
John
that
Q,
line.
yeah, you got it. It's John Q. One of my favorite movies. Yeah.
Oh, and what you just said, Dr. Ope, is so true, because we don't know the motivation. We have no idea. I'm going to share with you a story a little bit later on, if you permit me, but it really exemplifies what I'm talking about here. Is when you ask these questions, when you, again, remember I shared with you the 3 most valuable lessons that I could. We are more similar than we are different. We get what we give. And the art of really actively listening. So in order to be successful, we really got to put ourselves in the shoes of the other person. We're more similar than we are different. So imagine someone's taken a hostage. What's the motivation behind that? I don't know unless I ask questions. What is it that I can help you with? Now, it doesn't matter if this is a personal relationship or a professional relationship. If you're involved in a negotiation, or you're involved in speaking to a loved one who is in crisis or angry or whatever, when you approach the situation, as I approached hostage negotiations or crisis negotiations, with these words, you will make a significant difference in the outcome. Here's the words. I'm here to help. How can I help you? Wow. When you say, I'm here to help, how can I help you? Or words like that, you have a client, a customer who's coming to buy something from you, and they're not sure. And you say, hey, hi, I'm here to help you. How can I help you? What is it that you're looking for, and how can I help? Wow, those are words. You are really helping them to open up and to discuss what it is they're looking for, to see if you have what they have, or what they need.
100%. So yeah, believe it or not, we're almost at the 2-hour mark. It's like we just started 10 minutes ago.
Oh, wow.
But it's okay. I mean, I'm having fun. You are sharing amazing content that I think people need to hear. We're going to speed it up a bit. I want to try to end it in 13 minutes because I'm having another guest later today that I need to prepare for. So let's get this. I want to still put it in the business sense, because that's one that helps me more. Okay, let's still on this business area. I want us to talk about, because many times when people go into negotiations, we are always thinking win-lose. In other words, you want to win. You are not necessarily thinking about the other guy. And we've beaten it into our head over the years, at least when we grow up, that when somebody wins, somebody automatically has lost. So when we look at it in those sense, there's a lot of conflict, a lot of what I call business hostages or conference hostages happening. Okay? So, but I've realized that in most cases, when I'm looking at stuff, trying to make sure that when we leave that negotiation table, the other guy also still feels good, even if though I win. Or when they win, I also feel good. That always helps everybody. But when you win and the other guy loses or is made to feel he lost, you are sowing seed for another conflict down the road. Because if I lost today, if I feel like I lost, and maybe you make me realize it, now I'm thinking, I'm a very competitive person. I'm thinking, okay, I got to get this guy back tomorrow. So you find that conflict and what we call mutual hostages continue to happen. So what I wanted to talk to us about, because you obviously, I don't think, and you have had several successful hostage situations. Hostages don't give themselves up or not do what they are threatening if they don't feel they want something. That's why you guys will always say, okay, I'm going to give you light, but you got to give me something too. You got to give me 2 hostages. At least that's how it looks in the movies. I don't know if that's how it works in real life, but you see the hostages, they come, okay, they switch off the light and then they are negotiating. So okay, I'm going to put on your light, but you got to give me something. I got to show something to my bosses. Give me 2 of those hostages, and they give you. If they want to get food, you negotiate. That way, you start to de-escalate because the bad guy is also feeling he's winning, even though a concept of win is different for both sides. So what I wanted to address in just a couple of minutes is how can individuals approach negotiations from a win-win perspective than a win-lose mentality so that we don't keep perpetuating the circle of friction. Go.
All right. So I am not a fan of thinking of negotiations as win-win or win-lose. I am not. I believe that in many negotiations, you may be negotiating with someone who is very self-centered, someone who is very aggressive, and there's no way of successfully winning that. You're going to end up losing. So I don't like the win-win approach to things. I don't like the win-lose approach to things. I like the approach that says, I'm here to work with you. And I would like to see us reach an agreement that we're both happy with. Now, you may say, well, that's a win-win, Paul. It is, but you're not focusing on the words win-win. You're focusing.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. That would be a win-win. But I hear you. You don't like using the word win-win or win-lose. You just like the of resolving the battle. Okay, go ahead. I'm enjoying it. Go on.
Yeah, and the reason I don't like using the words win-win is because you may be thinking in your mind, well, I have to make this win-win. And then your negotiatee, the person who's negotiating with you, is saying, well, Paul, I want you to take a 15% drop on that, and that will be a win-win. And if your mindset is, well, this has to be a win-win, and I really want us to both to win-win here, he's asking me to take 15% less than what I had that was my ceiling, like, or that okay, well, I have to make this win-win. Okay, yeah, sure, Dr. Ope, I'll go with that 15%. We'll work it out. And then I've won one. No, I haven't. I've actually lost. Because
but what is wrong with that? Because to get something, you have to give something. It's my own understanding. Maybe you're going to educate me today. What is wrong in that?
You're right.
That would make me leave that place happy and you happy. Why is that a bad thing? I'm just challenging you now. Go ahead.
Yes, yeah, and I'm glad that you did, because if you take 15% less than what you originally, when you walk into your preparation, you have to walk in with, what is my bottom line? My bottom line, let's say that we're negotiating a $5 million contract, and I'm willing to give it to you for $450 million. That is my bottom line, because if I don't give it to you, like if I give it to you for less, I'm going to be losing. I'm going to be losing money. I'm going to be losing quality. I'm going to have to give up something. I'm going to be working. So my bottom line is $450 million. And you say, Paul, you know what? I can give you $425 million. And let's seal the deal at 425. That way it's a win-win and we both leave happy. If I'm of the mindset win-win and I say, well, you know what, I can't do it for less than 450 million, and this is why. I give my reasons why. Or as hostage negotiators, we would say, you know, that's just something I can't do. Let's work at what I can do. So if I've already set my bottom line as 450 million, and you're saying in order for this to be a win-win, it has to be 425 million, I've got to be prepared to walk away from that deal. I will say, before this negotiation, Dr. Ope, these are the reasons I set $450 million as something that we could both live with, and these are the reasons. So that negotiation, that moment, asserts in me that I know my value and that you're not going to dictate anything less, that I can assert myself and say, The bottom line for me is 450 million. And if we can't agree on that, Dr. Ope, I'm really happy that we got together. And these are the reasons I can't go below that, because my business would suffer. My commitments to other people would suffer because more time would be given, whatever it is. So that then does not become a win-win situation. That becomes win-lose. If I'm of the mentality win-win and I'm thinking, he's got me across the barrel, I'm going to give myself up. Okay. Sure, I'll go for 425. There's $25 million that I just can't afford. So that becomes a win-lose for me. The outcome must be mutually agreeable. And this is where negotiation comes in. Does that make sense to you? Is that we say...
I don't agree. This is the only thing you've said today that I don't agree with, in the sense that in life, in real life, nobody, especially when a conflict has arisen, okay, when things are broken down and you need to negotiate, nobody is going to get what they deserve. That's just not going to happen. The only way it's going to there's going to ever be peace and everybody walking away is that everybody takes a haircut. But what you are saying is that if you have a bottom line of where you're going to end up in a loss, you are never going to go below it. You rather go to war. You rather walk away. I'm not of that mindset. Okay,
and that's fair,
because that way you are saying you rather is a mindset that goes into the negotiation thinking they have to get what they deserve. But the truth is, you ended up in that place because the other guy doesn't want to give you what to deserve. That is a given, because if the other guy was ready to give you what to deserve, you guys wouldn't even be negotiating. He would have given it to you. So by definition, in my own mind, and I'm not a negotiator, I'm not whatever, is that everybody is going to have to take a cut from what they think is fair to them. That's the only way you walk away from that place in a win-win. But from what you are saying, you determine your position, and if the other guy is not ready to give it to you, you walk away. To me, you're thinking win-lose. I may be wrong. You've done this for 31 years. But that's what I'm thinking. I'll give you the last word on that, and we have to go to another question. But
you bet. All right. And here, I really want to stress that. I love what you had to say. Yeah. But in any negotiation, you, in your preparation phase, have to know what your bottom line is, what you can accept and what you can't accept. And it's not like if I used 500 million, let's just use a sale that's like $250 or whatever it is that you know what you can walk away with comfortably and what could end up hurting you if you were to accept the deal. It's like Kenny Rogers had this song, The Gambler, know when to walk away, know when to run. And I believe that we, in a negotiation, if we start off with this figure, this sum, we're both negotiating for 500 million. Let's go back to the 500 million. We're negotiating for 500 million, but that's not what we're going to end up with. We're both going to have to give and take. This is where the negotiation is. However, if it gets below the threshold where you may lose your business by giving in, and so many big companies have done this. So many big companies have dealt with other bigger companies that said, hey, this has got to be a win-win. We've got to have a win-win here. You've got to take a cut. You've got to take a loss. And many companies have gone and they said, okay, we're going to do it, only to find out that they neglected or that they didn't abide by the contract. They weren't able to keep up because they took too much of a severe loss. All I'm saying is know your bottom line and don't go below it, because if you do, you could jeopardize your company. You could end up out of business. And I'm going to tell you, big companies have gone out of business because they promised too much.
Oh, no, I agree. And that's actually a different thing I was talking about. But we'll leave it like that because we're running out of time. We're going to maybe take that up later. But it's a very, very important, because that's what plays out in real life. But I hear you. I got two more questions because we're already at the almost actually we started at the bottom of the hour. So it's actually not 2 hours, it's 1 hour, 30 minutes. Okay, so we're good. I forgot that we started at the bottom of the hour, not at the top of the hour.
That's correct.
I got the two very important questions here. Okay. No, I'm going to skip that one because I only have time for a couple very key ones. All right. All right, I'll go with this. I'll go with this. That's because it's different from everything we've been talking about. Obviously, I'm told that when people are negotiating, now we're talking business. Now, when I'm talking negotiation now, I keep repeating, I'm not talking about that Afghanistan guy who wants to blow people up. I'm not talking about the guy suffering from drug overdose and having issues. I'm talking about normal guys like you and I who come in, we are doing business, we are regular guys, right? But we have a negotiation to do, which is what most people listening to us will have to deal with. I know that with those occasional ones who may have some personal issues and all that, that will benefit greatly from what you are saying. But the overwhelming majority, I will hope so, who watch me are people who are normal guys who are just trying to make the next buck, right? So I want us to discuss the impact of body language and non-verbal cues in negotiations and how individuals can leverage them effectively. Because I hear that those are very telling. There's a way you can use that to your advantage when you're negotiating and all that. Your own experience, because obviously you must have gone through this as part of your training, part of what to teach people. I want to know about it. And what is the impact of body language and non-verbal cues in negotiations, and how can individuals leverage them effectively to come up with a better negotiation? Go.
That's an excellent question. Here it is. When I was talking earlier about the importance of listening, to actively listening to words, the importance of listening also requires you to listen with the eyes. What do I mean by that? Is that we are taking snapshots of the person that we're negotiating with. And we may do that consciously or unconsciously, but we should make it a conscious endeavor to watch how it is that they are interacting with us, how it is that they are responding to us, and whatever it is. What we must be looking for are any changes in body language. So, for example, if we're talking about an important thing, and we all of a sudden we notice that I've said something. I've said, well, we're going to move forward next week, and then all of a sudden I see the person going. Now that's a change in body language, and a lot of people would ignore this change, this sudden change, because we've seen that normally they're listening, they're leaning in, and they're interested, and all of a sudden we're going to start next week, and they go, and they're looking away. Well, that is what I call a white elephant. That is something that we need to address right at the moment. There's a change in body language that requires us to take immediate action and to stop the negotiation and say something like, I just noticed that your body language changed a little bit, that you look a little bit concerned. So identify the emotion that you have seen within the negotiation. That's really important. What emotion is he or she feeling, and how can I bring that emotion out? The only way you can do that is by recognizing it and addressing it immediately. It is an emotion. And so let's watch body language. And the way that we can use body language is to really mimic body language in many ways. So, for example, if you watch two people who are in love at a cafe and they're having coffee, many of them are leaning in and they're leaning towards each other, and that's natural. There's an attraction there. They're natural. So if you're sitting across from someone as an entrepreneur, as a business person, and you see the person doing one of these, then you may want to mimic that and do the same thing. You don't have to do it exactly. You don't want to do it exactly, but you want to do it in a very similar fashion because you are really responding to the body language that you're getting. Body language and tone of voice, any type of interruption, all three channels of communication have to be working together. For example, your words have to really identify with how your body is speaking and the tone of your voice. So in my own personal experience, when I was an interrogator, a professional interrogator, if somebody were to have their arms crossed like this, and I was to say, did you steal that money? No. Well, what's in that no? It's not an affirmative no. The body language is still closed. Not all three channels of communication are open. I've noticed that it's not meshing together. If I were to say, did you steal that money? That person should be, I didn't do it. No, it wasn't me. So you can hear the difference. You can hear their words being assertive. You can hear their body language being assertive and the tone of their voice being assertive. So the impact of our body language and nonverbal cues sends a message to the receiver. We all want to protect ourselves. This is our primitive brain. And we're looking for those differences that may shout out, there's a danger here, or there's something wrong with this picture. Imagine that you're surrounded by a bunch of people and all of a sudden you become very uncomfortable. Like, I think they mean me harm. That's right. That's your primitive brain saying, look at their body language. Look at them. Look at the eyes. There's something in the eye. There's something wrong here. Listen to that and get the heck out. How do we use this in our business? We pay attention to what people are saying. We pay attention to their tone of voice, and we pay attention to their body language. You can tell a lot from a person in their body language. It could be their eyes. There's what we call micro expressions. And you might say something and all of a sudden that expression goes from this to, and there in that instant, that moment, there was a change, and you have to focus in on that change to see what it was that you said that may have instigated that change of fear, anger, whatever it is. Be aware of the body language. The body language will trump the spoken word every time. Doesn't matter if I say, yes, I'll go through that deal with you. And my body language is going, yes, I'll go through that deal with you. And all of a sudden I'm doing this. Well, guess what? My body language is saying I'm not going to do that. So the body language will trump the spoken word 100% of the time. Be aware of where their feet are. You know, something as simple as looking where a person's, you're standing in a room, right? You're at a party. You're standing in a room and you're standing in front of somebody. Glance down at their feet. Where are their feet positioned? Are they in line with yours, face to face, or are they pointed towards the door? And this is funny. A lot of people don't think of that, but I look at people's feet when I'm talking with them. And if their feet are pointed towards the door, that indicates to me they're not interested in what I have to say. They're looking to head out the door as soon as they can.
Wait, their feet pointed towards the door is a clue. Interesting.
Yes.
My feet is not pointed to the door now, it's pointed straight. What does that mean?
That means that we're engaged. We're really interested in what each other has to say. And so we're sealed. Yes, exactly. But if my feet are pointed towards the door, or if my foot is tapping, then that indicates I'm nervous. That indicates that I'm not interested. I'm anxious, whatever it is. Every little bit of us. When a person lies, for example, it's funny. We can't always control our body language. When a person lies, we do a lot of different things. So if you're watching somebody, you're talking, and they're saying, well, you know, I didn't do that. And it's been my experience that, you know what? Or they might be picking lint off their shirt. And this is their body's way of saying, get out of here. You're under control. You're not in control. You're being attacked. You're going to give yourself up. You're going to say something that's going to incriminate you. So these are little indicators, the rubbing of the nose, the itchiness. That is, I'm uncomfortable. This is my body's fight or flight that's jumping in that says, get out of here. This is danger. And if you stay here, you will likely confess to what it is they're asking you. And so these are our body's ways of really overreacting to what's being said. And we can't control that. Or, for example, somebody goes, yeah, you know what? No, I didn't steal that money, officer. Why would I do something like that? Well, would you answer a question like that? Would you overextend? I didn't steal.
No,
that would be like, why?
Is that why my wife doesn't believe anything I say? Because I'm always stretching when I want to answer. When she asks me a tough question, I have to stretch. Is that why? You think maybe somebody thought
that's an indicator that you don't want to. That's an indicator that you probably. Yeah. Now, okay. Now here's where I'm going to caution people. If Dr. Ope does this normally, in any situation that he's involved in. And if this is what's called his homeostasis, that he's always doing this, this is just his comfortable way of being. It's like this, I'm so comfortable, I do this all the time. If that's his ordinary way of doing things, if under stress, not under stress, whatever, if that's his ordinary thing, I can't say that that's a lie or that's deception or that's avoidance. I can't say that. And not
okay, my wife has to hear this. My wife has to hear this. Okay, because I do this all the time. It's my normal way. Paul said it. I'm going to tell her, I'm not trying to be funny. This is how I rock, right?
Yeah. Seriously, that's how you rock.
When we are discussing, I'm like this. But though, when I'm starting to up, I do like this also. When I'm starting to get a bit upset at your team, I do like this. So it's a bad cue, right?
Well, in most situations, it would be, because not too many people do that. Not too many people do that. You do. And you know, I cross my arms. I cross my arms a lot of times because it's comfortable for me. But that's not an indicator that I'm lying. It's an indicator that I'm comfortable normally. Now, it depends on the circumstances. What am I talking about? And when do I do it? If I'm like when I was an interrogator in the polygraph and I would be talking to somebody and they were leaning in and they were listening to my stories, and then all of a sudden I said, well, you know what? That's great, John. I'm so glad that we got this, the opportunity to talk, and I got to know quite a bit about you. Now I want to talk about what you're here for. Did you kill Mary Smith? And then all of a sudden they go, sure. No, I didn't. I didn't do that. I liked Mary. I would never ever kill her. Well, you see, there's where that happened. It happened as a body response. The body said, "Oh, you're in danger now. This is not something you want to talk about," and we protect our heart by crossing our arms over our heart. And
Paul, let's be real. If a white guy, we're joking right now, we're talking, okay? And then the white guy all of a sudden says, okay, let's come for what we are here for. Did you kill Mary Smith? Seriously? You don't expect the guy to move back, to fold his arms, to get in a defensive position? Are you kidding me? Every normal human being, forget it, even a white guy to a black guy, even white guy to white guy, you just change him. We are here greeting each other about our wives, right? All of a sudden you say, okay, let's talk about why you are here. Did you kill? Now, as a matter of fact, if I'm the investigator and I throw that question out and the guy remains in the same posture he was in when we were joking, then I'm going to know it's a psychopath. Okay? That is a sociopath right there. In other words, if he's still smiling, I'm smiling at you right now. Okay, we're having fun. All of a sudden you say, did you kill Mary Smith? And I'm still smiling. I must be a sociopath. Because when you say that, all of a sudden we are no longer playing. The tendency is for whether the person is guilty or not, you move back. When I got stopped by a police officer, okay, I was sure I wasn't speeding. I don't know why the police officer stopped me. So he came to me, this is many years ago. He came to my window. And then he saw the way I was dressed. I was going to work. I was obviously dressed as I then I was still going to court. I was dressed like a lawyer going to court. So he asked me for my driver's license. Obviously, he knew me. Apparently, I didn't know that the man knew me well. Okay. Now, he asked for my driver's license. Then he asked about my wife. He asked about my daughter. That was the year that my daughter was the first black black person to be Miss Nebraska when she was 16. Miss Nebraska teenager, my daughter was the first black person to win that, and we're very proud of her. So apparently they were there. And I was going crazy when my daughter won, you know, the way Nigeria people do it. I was going crazy in the hall and all that. So he's noticed me, they knows me. So now he took my stuff. He checked it. We were all smiling. He asked about my daughter. He asked about me. It's Omaha, Nebraska. It's not like it's that big. Now, the next thing the guy threw at me was like, are you sure this car is yours? When he said that, I moved on my seat, literally. And I'm like, this MF is about to shoot me. Is what first crossing my head. Because it's on from where we are to where we are discussing. I couldn't relate it. Then it turned out that he stopped me because I didn't have plate numbers. My plate number at the back of my car, I didn't put it on. I'm nasty like that. My wife keeps telling me, you're going to get in trouble one day, but I didn't remember that. My plate is always in the front, in my glove compartment. To take it out and screw it in is always a problem for me. So he stopped me. So when he used that word, if he had said, oh, you don't have plate numbers at the back of your car, I wouldn't have changed position. Okay, I wouldn't have felt something bad is about to come. But the man said, are you sure you are the owner of this car? From, is your beautiful daughter. Are you kidding me? If I had stayed the same way, you should know I'm a sociopath. Because the thing just changed. We are no longer talking about Topi anymore. We talk about my life now as a car theft, as a car thief. You expect the person to still maintain position. No, I don't think so. But over to you. So,
no.
Yeah, you would think they're guilty? Is that what you're telling me?
No, let me clarify this. Remember earlier, I said all three channels of communication must be working together. If I'm sitting with you, and I could give you a masterclass on this, but it wouldn't be in the context of an hour or two. What I'm saying is
we're even running out of time, so you got 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay, got 2 minutes. Let me explain this. Is that when I was talking to him and we had spent some time together, and then I said, did you kill Mary Smith? And I saw him move back. That's normal. Sure. It's like, wow, now it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
However, if I then, because I can't say for certainty that he's lying or that he did it just based on one thing that I see. But if I then see his arms cross, his head move away from me, his eyes move down, and his voice go, no, why would I do something like that? It signifies to me that there's so much behind all those actions. It's not just crossing the arms. It's not just moving the head away. I'm sure that you didn't do all those things. You probably moved back, but you were very interested in proving that you are doing everything right. You're not going to shut down from me using all these things. Is your voice, are the words you're using, is the tone of voice one that I believe or that I don't believe? Is the body language one that I believe or don't believe? Are the head motions one that I believe or don't believe? Are they working together? I can say, if somebody asked me, Paul, did you kill that person? I'd go, no, I didn't do that. And you see that there's a difference in my tone of voice. I'm taken aback, but I'm going to defend myself because I didn't do it. But if I'm watching all these components come together in conjunction, then I'm going to be curious. Am I going to sell the farm based on all those? No, but it indicates to me that there is something behind those answers that need further
investigation. Okay, fair enough. I think now I agree with you. Now we're going to come to the last question, but before you answer it, I'm going to talk a little bit about my next book coming out, but you're going to think about it because your last question, and this is it. What are the, because at the end of the day is takeaway I'm always very, very interested in. From your perspective, what are the 3 key things that people need to do to rescue themselves from self-hostage and start living the lives that they deserve? That is going to be your concluding question for us. But when we come back, you answer that. In the meantime, I want to talk about my next great book coming out. I'm so excited about it. It is called The Success Secrets of Millionaire Hustlers. What I did with that book is basically I came up with what I call success secrets for those who are trying to make it. And I came up with the idea for the book when I was in Dubai. For those of you listening, I was in Dubai for an event organized by one of my former proteges, who incidentally is a billionaire now, Stephen Akitayo. He organized an event in Dubai and invited Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, Les Brown, and then he also put me on the ticket. Obviously, not that I'm on the level of those guys, but he was my protege. I trained him. So he felt that as his daddy, I decided to be on stage with those guys. And it was probably my best event ever. So I went. paid for all my ticket, everything. So I went to Dubai. But the people in the hall are mostly guys who are trying to break out. Okay, it was because he had this real estate company started in Dubai. So he had like about this 100 agents who had registered to be agents for his businesses in Dubai. Those are mostly those guys in the audience, right? So when they were speaking, okay, I think Grant Cardone spoke from Zoom. He wasn't there physically. But when they were speaking, I noticed that they were sharing with those guys what they need to do to be successful. But what they were sharing is not what those guys needed. These are guys trying to make their first $10,000, $20,000. But I noticed that they were sharing ideas of what maybe somebody like you will share. People are already successful. I realized that the way somebody who has made millions of dollars, the way their mind works is different from the guy trying to make his first $20,000. But what happens is that rich people, when they are now teaching those who are trying to get their game going, they are teaching them what they are doing now that they are successful, not what they did while they were starting out. And I was getting very, very agitated as I was sitting down listening to them before my talk. That, take for instance, now when one of them, I don't know, I think it's Les Brown or Grant Cardone, I can't remember which, when he was going to speak, was saying, well, for them to be successful, they have to start out with a big vision. And that to me is a big lie. Nobody starts out with a big vision that I know. Everybody starts out trying to get that $5,000. The vision begins to grow as they grow. From Amazon guy, he cannot wake up today and tell you, which is what they say now when you put them on the stage. He cannot say when he started Amazon, he was thinking about dominating the world. That's the last thing on his mind. When I read his book, he just wanted to get his books to people that faster than the next guy. And then as he was doing it, other people approached him and said, sell our books for us. Then the vision grew from there. See, everybody, including Robert Kiyosaki, when he wrote his book, I don't think he was thinking about domination. The man just wanted to get a book out there that will make him money. Then the book, one thing led to the other. And now is that Colossus with a broader vision. So I felt we needed a book of the real secrets. Now, the way you talk now, as somebody who has done the work for 31 years, your vision about the whole thing, it's not what it was the first day you came out, your year one. You just want to get the first successful project out of the way. Okay, so I wrote this book talking about because as we grow into this, many times we also forget what the fundamentals we started out with was. For instance, one of them also said you have to have an original idea. I don't know anybody starting out that wants to feed his family that the first thing is thinking is about, I'm going to sell something original. Most people, all of them, from the Virgin guy, I read his book, okay, from Amazon, from whatever, they are thinking about twisting what is already existing. Then as they begin to make some money, they start thinking original. The only few guys who think original when they start are guys from rich families' homes or people who have somebody to support them. Otherwise, most of them die because it takes a lot of money to push originality. Bill Gates, yeah, it was original, but how many years did it take him to get to market and how many millions of dollars did he spend? Mark Zuckerberg, Amazon, all those guys. Okay, originality is hard. Originality is expensive. So anyway, I wrote this book more like a counterintuitive response to what the rich people or successful people tell those who are not yet successful how to be successful. That's a reason why the mindset to go from 1 million to 5 million is different from the mindset to go from 100,000 to 1 million, and different from the mindset to go from zero income to $10,000. So I wrote this book called Success Secrets of Millionaire Hustlers, what they did, the kind of mindset they had when they were starting. So I talk about 33 of them. I'm going to be launching the book next week, Monday, not this one, the upper one. Paul, I'm inviting you to my special launch on Clubhouse, okay? On Clubhouse to talk about it. So, those of you out there, we're going to be doing a special introduction of the book next week, Monday, on Clubhouse. Come and support it. It's one of my best books ever, because when I came back from Dubai, I wrote the book and I was feeling so good about it. I talk about 33 contrarian mindsets. I talk about why pursuing excellence can make you die in poverty. The pursuit of excellence is really, really, really not the way to go when you're starting out. You can chase that when you are poor, because Paul has been there, done that. He can continue to look for excellence. I talk about stuff like that are very contrary to what most people believe. So let me play a little promo video on that for those of us at home so that you can see what this is about. In fact, there was an interview on it, a promo interview that I'm going to play. Then when we come back, we'll wrap this up with Paul.
Breaking news with Paul Toole.
Good evening and welcome to our breaking news segment. I'm Paul Toole and we have some exciting news for all aspiring entrepreneurs and business enthusiasts out there. Today we bring you an exclusive announcement that is set to shake up the business world. Breaking records and capturing the attention of millions, The Success Secrets of Millionaire Hustlers is the highly anticipated book that unveils 33 groundbreaking mindset secrets for making money in any economy without working so hard. Authored by renowned business expert Dr. Ope Banwo, this book is a game changer for anyone looking to achieve financial success. Dr. Ope Banwo, a leading authority in entrepreneurship and wealth creation, has dedicated years of research to uncovering the strategies that millionaires use to achieve their financial breakthroughs. His book is a comprehensive guide that empowers readers with practical tips and proven techniques to elevate their financial status. When asked Dr. Ope Banwo about the thinking behind his latest book, this is what he had to say.
The Success Secrets of Millionaire Hustlers is a culmination of my years of experience and analysis of the true mindset secrets of successful individuals that has helped them to achieve financial breakthrough rather than what they often tell us is their secret. In this book, readers will discover the winning mindsets for working smarter, not harder, and how to make money in any economic climate. I sincerely believe it's time to break free from the traditional thinking that often keep most people poor and embrace new contrarian ways of thinking that lead to financial independence. That's why I wrote the book.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you, Dr. Ope. With its release on the horizon, The Success Secrets of Millionaire Hustlers is already generating a buzz within the business community. Entrepreneurs, business owners, and those seeking financial freedom eagerly anticipate the opportunity to learn from Dr. Ope Banwo's expertise. To all the go-getters out there, this is your chance to gain access to the mindset secrets that will transform your financial journey. Pre-order your copy of The Success Secrets of Millionaire Hustlers today and be among the first to embark on this life-changing experience. Don't miss out on this extraordinary opportunity. Visit the author's website www.opebanwo.com to secure your copy and unlock the path to financial success. Stay tuned for more updates on this groundbreaking release. Thank you for joining us for this breaking news segment. I'm Paul Toole and we'll be back with more updates soon. Stay informed, stay empowered, and good night.
Of course, that's a whole different way of promoting the book. I wanted to do something different. Guys, check me out next week, Monday, and check for what this book is all about. I'm going to be sending a copy to Paul so that he can pre-read and give me a video a review of the book. I really appreciate it. Paul, I'm going to be sending it to you right after this. I need reviews from titans like you to help me put it out there. All right. Let's bring this to a close with the powerful insights from Paul. And I want him to tell us about, where's that my question? I put it last because I really wanted to hear. Yes, yes, here is it. From your perspective, what are 3 key things people need to do to rescue themselves from self-hostage and start living the lives that they deserve? Go.
Well, one of the first things I am going to recommend that you do in order to really rescue yourself from self-sabotage is to start that day of yours with intention. Start it off by being grateful for being here, for the things that you have. Don't focus on the things that you don't have. Focus on the things that you have and express gratitude, be it in a prayer, be it in just your actions, but take a few moments to be grateful. Next, I want you to go into the closet of your mind to pick out that attitude that you are going to wear for the day. Choose right then and there that you are not going to be bothered by the trivialities of life, that you're not going to let people get under your skin. You make a decision in that morning to wear confidence, courage, faith, to clothe your inner soul, your inner body with this attitude of gratitude and success. And when somebody cuts you off, you remind yourself, I started my day by saying that nobody was going to get under my skin, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to live my day with deliberation. I am deliberate in my actions. I am confident in my actions. So starting your day off with mantras, with gratitude, with faith, and by clothing your inner is number one. Number two, start surrounding yourself with people who believe in you and who challenge you and who are maybe smarter than you and who can teach you better ways. If you're surrounded by a bunch of nuts, you're likely a nut yourself, or you're going to get spoiled by the bad nuts in the bushel. You are the company that you keep. So examine your life to see if the people in your life are who you really want there, if they're holding you down. If they are, choose a new group, a new tribe. It's like going to Clubhouse. If you go into a room that's all negative, yeah, well, get out of the room. You get to leave quietly and pick a new tribe. So examine who you are surrounded with and surround yourself with people who are encouraging, uplifting, challenging, who are smarter than you, who can teach you more and become the person that you want to be. Number three, garbage in, garbage out along the same line. Take every day to listen to something positive. Get into a seminar. Dr. Ope's got a seminar coming up. Get yourself involved in something like that. Get yourself listening to YouTube channels and narratives and podcasts that encourage you. Listen to some great music. Do not fall into the trap of listening to negativity or not taking time to feed your mind, your soul, your spirit. Make sure that you listen to great content. Do this daily. Make it a habit. I do. I listen to great YouTube conversations, things that I'm interested in, things I listen. I have this motivational app, and I'll jump on it when I'm going for a walk because I like to take care of myself physically as well. And when I go for my walks, I'm listening to great positive things that really assert in my mind that I'm everything that I can be once I choose to be. So those are three of my ideas. I'm going to throw in a fourth. Make sure that you take care of yourself by eating well and by exercising daily. You've only got one body, and if you take it for granted, if you don't put the work into feeding it well or exercising, going to take you to your destination, won't get you there because you didn't take care of it. The same is true with your mind. And lastly, if you are of low energy and you crank that energy up to high energy and then you crank it down low, you change your life. So keep it high value energy. Go on out there and take care of your
Awesome. It looks like you're entering the matrix. Yeah. Go ahead. Please wrap up, sir.
Take care of those that you
Frozen. Looks like it's frozen. Well, at least we are almost. We can't hear you. You keep going in and out. But I think the system allowed us. We are already at the end. So, guys, even though he went into the matrix in that last presentation, but I think we got everything we needed from him for today. And of course, we are going to be continuing with him. He's frozen right now on screen, but he's going to be live inside of Clubhouse for the next 30 minutes or so once this is over. For those of us who have one-on-one questions for him, join us live on Clubhouse in the next 2 or 3 minutes as I wrap up today. We've had a great 2-hour time with Mr. Paul Nadeau. He was on our Hotseat today. He's going to be joining us on Clubhouse in the next, in fact, he's already there waiting for you, for those of you who would like to have questions with him. He's a former hostage negotiator, life coach, and a best-selling author who has literally been changing lives for years with his experience. So that's it today. We are going to be going with Mr. Paul Nadeau in a few minutes to Clubhouse for those of you who want to engage him on one-on-one. But today's a special day before I close the room because we are going to be having 2 high-powered guests on the Fearless Netpreneur show. We just finished with Mr. Paul Nadeau. We're going to be taking it up in Clubhouse. I've never had anybody like that on my show. And I'm glad that he agreed to come because what he had to share today will be resonating with us for months and years to come. Later in the evening today at 6 p.m. Eastern time, which is basically 11 p.m. Nigerian time. So don't go to bed early because I'm bringing in Luis Estrella, the godfather of prompt engineering, of AI prompt engineering. I am not kidding you guys. Luis Estrella is absolutely one of the best, if not the best, in the game of prompt engineering. I can speak for myself. He basically transformed the way I engage ChatGPT, Google Bard, and these AI tools when it comes to machine learning tool. Today is going to show you how to be able to get the best from AI tools, especially ChatGPT and Google Bard. Is going to be showing you how you can apply for grants. It's going to be showing you how you can get your book written in record time that will be free of plagiarism. It's going to be showing you several strategies because I will press him on it, on how to use the best and to get the best from ChatGPT. You guys know I'm going to bring it. The Fearless Netpreneur is not afraid of any guest, but we all agree that today Paul stood tall on that seat. He wasn't rattled by any of my questions, and he brought it and gave the value. So we want to appreciate him. Wherever you are watching this, you want to check out Mr. Paul Nadeau. He can literally help you. This is what he does. He goes around now helping people, businesses to transform their life. You can check out his books on Audible. That's where I got it. I think listening to that book is transforming on his own. But if you're the type that like to get the book in your hand, you can go to Amazon.com or you can go to his website, jpaulnadeau.com. Is right there on your screen, scrolling at the bottom. Let me look for his website because when somebody's come here and giving great value, the least we can do is promote him and support him. You want to go to that site, jpaulnadeau.com, and sign up for his newsletter. It is free. So this is not like me saying you go spend money with him, but signing up with him, you get further updates because I don't believe in one-offs. I don't believe in 15-second sound bites or 10 minutes discussion like we always do on Clubhouse. I want there to be continuity. I want you guys to get the feel of him because the mental side is equally as important as the technical side, if not more. I've come to realize that over time, that what is keeping you down is more your mental self-hostage, self-sabotage than your ability to get things done. Everybody can do freelancing. Everybody can write a book. Everybody can do software, but why are they not doing it? A lot of it has to do with holding yourself hostage. You need a man like Paul. I haven't known him long, but that's a man I intend to follow closely. I'm going to see what kind of programs he has. Someone like me might even need it. And I'll sign up for it because tech is not my problem. Ideas is not my problem. Why am I not a billionaire? Even me, I probably have some self-hostage issues that I need that man to help me with in private. Maybe you do. That's why you want to go to his website. You want to check him out. See what he has to offer. Above all things, get that book. It's only $20. Take control of your life. Who doesn't want to do that? Seriously. Who doesn't want to take control of their life? Go get that book and join us inside Clubhouse right now as we take on Mr. Paul for a few minutes on a Q&A session with my friends on Clubhouse as we wrap up this morning session. Then in the evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Mr. Lou Estrella, the godfather of prompt engineering, will be here and is going to share screens with you and do stuff that you don't think is possible with ChatGPT. As we go, I'm going to leave you with this video about our summit coming up on Tuesday. You want to be there. He has a free version. He has a paid version. So you have no excuse. For 6 hours, for 3 days, 6 hours a day, these guys, they have agreed to give their time and their energy and their resources on stage for you. I also will be there to teach. I'll be talking about a couple of things there myself, but these are my own daddies. These guys know more than me. I'm learning from them. So if I'm learning from them and you consider yourself my protege, you better get your ass in there and learn directly from the guys I learned from. Everything I know about prompt engineering, most of it I learned from Louis and Hot Potter III. Those are two guys who are going to be talking about prompt engineering at the conference. We have the lady who's going to be talking about how to write your own courses as a professional. Because if you're a coach or top-level professional, why don't you have a course that you can sell for $497, $997, $2,000? Sherry Coleman is going to come and show you how to do that. Why are you not making money in this AI stuff they are talking about all over the place? If your Kim is going to come and show you how you can transform yourself financially using AI tools that's already available to make money for yourself. That's just a glimpse of some of the guys that you can be expecting. But here's a short video to end. I want to appreciate you for coming, and I'll be ending the show as soon as the video ends. You're not going to hear me again, but thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you guys on the Clubhouse and later tonight, live, as we take on Luis Estrella.